back to another episode of Spoiler Talk, where we talk spoilers. This week, we are doing Dark Season 3. We just did Season 1 and 2, got so into it, rewatched it all, fell in love with it more so than ever. How did you find the final season, the last cycle? The end is the beginning is the end. The end is upon us, it's all over. We now have it fully wrapped up, fully done. How did you like it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes?
Asterisks. No. I did. I think you have to process something like this as A, did you enjoy the ride? And B, did you enjoy the ending? Because they're probably two separate questions. And I think anytime anything ends, the entirety of the finale is all lumped together. So a lot of people will process Dark Season 3 as what they felt about the ending. But the ride I went on getting there, regardless of what I think of that, because I'm still processing it, and there's a lot of really intricate scientific concepts going on that I don't know if I've really wrapped my head around. Quantum entanglement. But I would say that for the most part, I felt satisfied.
Okay.
But there's so much that left me wanting a bit more. And I feel like there might have been just a few too many sequences that went on just a little bit too long, that maybe it's stopping me from that same feeling I had after I watched Season 2, where when you finish Season 2, everything is so different to what it was in Season 1, but there's all this potential left over because we know we've got another season left.
Yeah, there's more to come.
So now that it's all done and I know that we're not going to get any more of it, there's a sense of longing I have for the scenes that I really thought we were going to get that we didn't, or the dynamics between characters, and I don't really want to get bogged down too much in the negative because there's a lot of great stuff to talk about.
I was just going to say, in just terms of getting bogged down in the negative, because I think this season has a lot of great moments.
It does.
But I would say, as a whole season, as a final season, it was pretty fucking bad. It's not all about the ending.
Yeah.
And it's not as bad as some endings that we've got. Nothing will ever be as bad as Throne's ending. Nothing have ever tried to bite off and failed so much. But this show really bit off a fuck ton. I love Season 1. But then it ends, and it's like, welcome to the future. And I was like, no. But then it did it alright. It didn't get bogged down in that stuff. Then Season 2 finished, and it's like, welcome to a parallel universe, or whatever. Ooh, a second world. And I was like, no. Once again, fuck no.
The rest of Season 2
was fantastic, so it's going to work. Season 3 will be fine. No. It, for me, got so bogged down. It was essentially retelling Season 1, but in a fast, revamped version. So I was like, the first 2 episodes, I was like, nothing fucking happened. Nothing happened. It was just the same thing as Season 1 with characters that are the same, but Hannah's pregnant and we're still... No.
Too much time dedicated to a concept that when there's so much left to do...
There is so much... Yeah. So I didn't even hate that we got a parallel universe. I'm going to spoil Season 6 of Lost a bunch, so just that's up.
All the spoilers.
Parallel universes aren't bad in themselves. But this felt more like how CW does it. Like, there's a shot where we're in the second universe and he's walking into the cave. The iconic time travel cave. The cave had one couch on one side. It was the most amazing mise-en-scene. Trees, cave, couch. Now there's 2 couches on the right. It didn't work for me. It felt like I wrote this. It felt like 15-year-old me was like, how do we make a parallel universe? There's 2 chairs on this right side now. Instead of the ear, eye.
Yeah, instead of the eye, arm with Waller. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I don't know, man. There's too much of that for me, and there's way too many times this season someone was like, words, dialogue, in your world and in mine, in your world and in mine, in my world and in yours. I thought over 5 times this season the dialogue felt the same as in Thrones, where it's like Jon Snow says two things in the final season. I don't want it. She's my queen. And it's a parody and a joke, and there are fucking YouTube compilations of it. You could do that for this season for in your world and in my world.
Yeah.
And maybe all of that would build up, because the first two seasons have I did not like in season 2 where Adam, I've got a time travel scarred face, and I'm an old man in a chair saying big things of beginnings and ends of everything. In the end, for me, everything utterly I was so not in with season 3's premise of we've got two worlds, and then in the finale, the best part of the show is that 6 minutes for me where she's like, "You're a dumb cunt. Everything you've done is wrong. You still don't know what game you're playing." We keep thinking. The only part of the show that me fully rounded out was when she was like, "You don't get it," and he's like, "Ooh," and I'm like, "I don't get it right now. I'm lost, and I think you've lost me. There's two. I'm not in anymore." And then she's like, "We keep seeing it like black and white, light and shadow," and I'm like, "You keep saying these things. Stop." So repetitive at this point. And then she's like, "We're wrong." And then 5 seconds before we revealed, I was like, the Triquetra. It's three. It's three worlds. And then he's literally like, "Triquetra? Is there a third world?" And he's like, "Oh!" And that's so good. It was so good. I was like, oh, they fixed everything. Because everything in the first two seasons was like, there's 33 years, there's all this thing that built, especially in season 1, I was like really building, it was just this really prime concept of the 33 years, 3 cycles, repeating. And I was like, this makes sense. There's a third world. It's all oh, wait, no. There's one world, and he did a time travel thing and created a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And then they deleted themselves Thanos style by snapping their fingers. They all erased Thanos style into nothingness.
Time dust.
And then there was a fucking dinner party where Hannah's like, "I had a dream last night. It was the TV series Dark and it was fine." And then their response is, "Shut the fuck up." And then she's like, "Do you remember the end of The Rise of Skywalker?" And I'm like, no, I don't." And then she's like, "Jonas." And I was like, that's how you end the show? You have all your main characters Thanos themselves, and then you say the main character's name, who doesn't exist anymore, at the end. Rise of Skywalker style. What the fuck? It ruined so much. There was so much stuff in this season that I would have forgiven, that I would have enjoyed. Like, I love Origin Baby Boy. The 3 of him.
Oh, yeah.
But
So
now I'm like, do I?
he's been affectionately dubbed CLT, Cleft Lip Trio, online. So
I like Origin Baby, but alright.
Yeah.
Wait, CLT?
CLT. That's what everyone, all the things I've been reading, it's CLT. I'm like, who the fuck is CLT?
Yeah.
Cleft Lip Trio.
Okay.
So I like,
I feel like I just had to get all my negativity out straight away.
Well,
Boom.
can we touch on Cleft Lip Trio for a sec? It's such an incredible concept that was introduced in the trailer. Yeah. Another example of like, we're going to give you this and let's market the series based on this new really interesting thing, which really I felt they didn't have enough time to properly explore. Mm-hmm. It was very unclear to me how I just wanted...
How it happened?
Do you know what I wanted? I wanted a scene where the middle-aged guy went and got the kid for the first time. You know, or the old guy and the middle-aged guy go to the kid and just have to, so they can explain both to the audience mm-hmm. and to that boy for the first time what's going on. I thought that would be a really easy and narratively satisfying way mm-hmm. for an introduction to this. So the first introduction we get is burning down the Sigmundus headquarters in 1986, I think.
The start, if I can just...
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be so negative this episode, unfortunately. That first 5 minutes was out of control.
Yeah.
I was so in. I was so goddamn in when he got introduced and he burnt it down. I was like, this is the best.
I think
he was so good, and then by the time it revealed who he was, he became a parody of himself to me, because all I thought was, apart from the fact that I, as the audience member, know it's the same person, if a man came to me in the woods and was like, I'm a man, I'm going to say some words to you. The end is the beginning, light and dark. Nothing is actually anything. I'd be like, this guy's freaky. And then I saw a child and an old man. I'd be like, oh, I just need to take out this guy. And then the child and the old man I'll kill. Because he's an old man and a child. They're not actually a threat in any way. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, they're being creepy, but I can be creepy. I'll just stop talking and look at you. It's like,
Yeah.
they completely lost the allure just before I felt like the reveal. I actually loved that the reveal was like, they're the origin, they're everything. And then twist, that wasn't everything.
Well,
I liked that.
Yeah, so it was Jonas and Martha's child.
Yeah, their little their crossed universe baby, which is so cool until you get to the end where you're like, I don't know.
No one exists.
No one exists. Nothing matters. Nothing fucking matters to the point where it's like, I just can't fathom why you would make it all a dream. And then have someone be like, it was all a dream I had.
No. Let me pose this question to you though, because I
really want you to change my mind.
I don't even know if I've been able to process everything, and I think that there are a lot of elements that really worked. There are elements that didn't. There are missed opportunities, and there are threads that I really thought were going to be integral to the show that were essentially abandoned in favor of elements that had so much potential that didn't pan out to anything really. I mean, Infinity Baby is kind of introduced, explained away, and then inconsequential.
He's as inconsequential as everything because, I mean, I'm going to try and stop saying it, but literally because of the ending, to me, the entire series is pointless and nothing matters.
But then what is the alternative? You either erase the timelines or you don't. Those are your two options.
Just don't. Yeah. If you erase the timelines and maybe didn't have a dinner party where everyone is fine and everyone's having the best night of their lives, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's like we were discussing last week. You're like, it's called dark because of this and that.
Dark timeline.
But then you were like, the dark timeline. And I was like, I love the idea that maybe we've been introduced to the light timeline and the whole. I binged this season. I thought it was so entertaining and engaging. Except constantly I was like, I don't know, Dark. Stop following this parallel universe. Like the final episode, or maybe the second last episode, has Ulrich chasing down little Helga, and he beats him again, and then we see that he's beating him as an adult, and it's like, it's not all the same. Those things and ideas, I felt like
a lot earlier.
Yeah, man.
Why did you leave that to the end? This overly familiar.
To me, it was like, because we don't have anything in the finale to hook you, so let's grab the peak to me of Dark is the moment where he kills Helga, and you go, he killed him, he stopped it, and then he's like, the children are still dead. He's like, how? No, why? And you're like,
so much.
Everything he does is, you're going to cause. But then we get to this point now where every time a character died this season, it just felt so like.
Did the show become nostalgic for itself? In the same way season 1 is nostalgic for Stephen King, Twin Peaks, all of these things, did the show, much like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, by Endgame become nostalgic for itself?
But I feel like this.
But it's only 3 seasons, so I don't even know if it earns its own nostalgia.
When the first episode happened, and it's like, he's like doing the thing, and it's like, they're all there. It's episode 1. I'm watching episode 1 again, but it's the new parallel universe. All I thought was Lost took 5 seasons and 25 episodes a season to build this up. They built 6 years of character foundation, and like, so that when they were like, Jax got a son, I was like, oh my god, everything he wanted. Why? Like, everything built and made me really. And then when you realize what it is in Lost, you go, of course, when you rewatch it, it's so obvious what's happening and why we're watching these moments of these characters. I don't think Dark did it at all. And it was just like, she's wearing a yellow jacket because she's Jonas. Do you get it? Do you get it? I'm like, I get it, Dark. I saw season 1.
Jax, tell me about Paradise.
I don't even, what do you, so...
No, I love that element in the show, which you've forgotten, is that the building of the relationship between Noah and Elizabeth. And that little thing that they have together, where she says, tell me about Paradise. And it's almost the thing that keeps her alive and going over all these years. I think the elements that build on the other seasons and the in-between parts are probably some of the strongest stuff that we get. basically anything that isn't in the alt timeline. Even though I'm hesitant to say the alt timeline doesn't work for me, because I think there's a lot there that is really good, and I think that the Martha Eve stuff, a lot of that really did work. Eva, yeah.
Did they do that just so it was? I don't know that. It's
Or is that just the German Eve?
It totally could be, but literally them being like Adam and Eva, I just like that the little change being like, because you don't want it to be Adam and Eve because that's just dumb and stupid and the cliche obvious thing to do.
Well, there's a big portrait of Adam and Eve, so
yeah, so that was in the trailer, and I remember being like, how you get like in the trailer we got a bit where it's like you see all the things, and we were like, who's the intersecting thing, all that stuff. Actually, just seeing it there, I was like, someone had to create this, craft it, pay a fucking guy to come in and do all this. It just all became... I don't know, man. It just completely collapsed in on itself to me. Well, I was watching it engaged, enjoying. But then every 10 minutes, I was like, I don't know, Dar! I don't know, man! And I'd have another beer and put on another episode and just sit there and I'm like, I'm in, but I don't know, man. Honestly, the only aspect of this season that's better than the other two, definitely to me, is the opening credits.
Oh.
The opening credits, to me,
really good.
Now make the other two kind of embarrassing with how they... Not to be rude, but it's like... It's split, and always I thought season 1 and 2's were okay. Season 1's was better than 2's, I thought. That the way they were splitting everything and doing that...
I kind of feel like they got better each time.
Yeah,
personally.
maybe, yeah.
I know because you said last week season 1's was just... You loved that.
I just felt like it worked better. Season 2 introduced character faces into it. Introduced things where I was like, why are you putting in Tonte taking his pants down? Like, why are these elements in there? They don't seem to be serving me. Whereas the next one starts, apple, hands.
Yeah.
The way the fingers were like, the one
like
with the lips was getting all fucking sexual. And the way it was doing suggestive things and creating weird imagery.
I feel like there's a bit of that in season 2. That's why it works for me.
Yeah, right. I just felt this one, like, there's one at the ends where the hands are going over the body and like disappear in and out. And I just felt that whole creation of the mirror imagery was perverse and a bit mysterious, a bit sexual. Sure. And I thought that, like, the first 20 minutes of this season, I was like, I'm so in. It's going to blow me away. And there were just too many scenes of Eva being like, in your world and in mine. The beginning is the end. The end is the beginning. It's all connected. Everything makes sense. And I don't know. I think my issue was it became so knotted. And it just became so like, and you do this. And it's like, oh, we've got to grab you and we've got to send you here and we've got to do this. And it became so stupidly convoluted and so ridiculous that literally the answer was, oh, we don't actually exist. Our universe shouldn't have ever existed. Time travel created us in this stupid loop. But then my brain is like, but what does that?
Let's talk about that.
What does that even mean, man?
So H.D. Tannhaus in the original timeline in 1974, I think, created a time machine that didn't work.
In the bunker that we've been going to all these times, in a universe that we saw what I love though is when episode 7 starts, and he's like, the box disappears, and he's like, this is like a school program. Like, you would hear me talking about it, you know, like, you learn
the Schrodinger's cat. Yeah,
and the Schrodinger's cat thing, which I'm aware of, but like hearing him explain it, I was like, I mean, this is...
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's a different aspect ratio. All of the original world stuff is in 2.35 to 1.
Is that what it is?
And then all of the regular and mirror world is in just the standard 16 by 9.
Did you notice that the colours were a bit off with him though? Like when we saw him throughout episod 7, his colours were like...
vibrant and
they were just
poppy.
given this kind of like
what happened was they were using what appeared to be older
footage
older lenses.
Right, so that's what I meant.
And I think those older lenses tend to have a bit more contrast. They tend to make things a bit more poppy.
Yeah.
And obviously the color grade was different, but I mean in the rest of the timelines it's very kind of flat. And
it's
the darks, the blacks aren't quite black.
I think it looks beautiful, like the show in general.
Yeah.
But I just love that, like, I was like, oh, like this, like I don't know. Once it revealed to me that this man lived, like when it was like, there's a third world, and like in the episode finale, and it cuts to that that wide of the bunker outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it looks so different, and I I appreciated. I mean, it's not really anything. I don't know. I was so in at the idea of a parallel universe and a third universe that created them.
So what essentially he did was destroy his own universe and create those two universes.
Is that how you read it?
I believe so. And and then what they had to do was go back to the apocalypse, wait for that second in time that they could jump out, and then get back into the origin world and then travel into the original timeline when he was pumping the energy through the tunnel.
Yeah.
I think that's what...
Okay, so I guess so.
But it kind of breaks its own rule in a weird way of the deterministic premise that, I mean, they go back to the original world, change events. He never creates the time machine. Nothing ever gets done. They evaporate.
I don't know, man. It's like I'm saying all this. I don't know.
Well, there are only two choices to end it. It's either all deterministic, it all happened in infinity, and it continues looping forever, or it gets erased. And they kind of got to have their cake and eat it too, in that these two realities did exist in infinity, and all of it did happen, and all of it, what the end result of it happening was that they were able to go back and stop Tannhouse's family from being killed.
Okay, so
there is, it's not that it all happened for nothing, but essentially created this tangent split universe that in infinity intersected with itself, and then it created these two figures that figured out a way to jump out of that, go back into the original reality,
save this
and turn the course of events. So Tannhaus just never invented time travel at all by the end of it.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so for me...
Meaning everyone who was time travel shenanigan babies is wiped.
Yeah. No,
and Regina,
got saved out of it because she wasn't involved.
Because Tronte wasn't her dad. Bernd Doppler was her dad. Helga's dad, which makes the whole Bernd Claudia relationship dynamic very kind of weird now because there's such a big age difference. It's a little groomy, and there's like a part where he gives her $10 in season 3, and she's like, "That's too much." He's like, "Don't ever you take what you want to get," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then figuring out that he's the father.
So is that why we were following Tonte as a kid? Because for instance,
it's a red herring. It's a massive. So
in episode 4, it's like the origin. It starts as like, this episode's called Origin. They always tell us the episode. I felt like this season though, like I don't know, it was like each time it was like telling us the thing. Like the first episode started, it's like it's deja vu, and it's like, you wanna know what I'm sick of hearing? That this shit's like deja. I feel like in season 1, every time Noah or anyone like someone would just like look at a wall and be like, the beginning is the end is the beginning. Tick tock, tick tock. And this time I was just like, these fucking cunts. I just keep saying this fucking bullshit. The end is the beginning the end. Stop saying that. Like, dude, it felt like they were just...
Does it even make sense? Because
no, it's
the only person that figured that out was Claudia.
Okay, so you want to get...
And she didn't write the book.
Nothing makes sense to me, man. So, the show essentially gets to the point where everything is a cycle of a cycle, and it's like all these people are doing the things, and their lives are continuously in a cycle of creating everything and jumping through timelines and stealing babies and throwing them into different timelines, all this stuff. And then it gets to the end. He kills the origin baby in her, and he's like, I'm gonna Thanos myself. See, every moment is so close to working for me because of the acting. Like that old man, Adam, I've never been a big fan. Honestly, I think that's a big... There's something about his scarring seems so... It's not... No one winks and nods that everyone's time traveling all the time. Why does Claudia not look like him? Why is she not scarred? She's time traveling way more.
Because it's not travel. It's him creating that machine, which is what I suspected. We discussed that briefly last week, and I said that...
I might have gone over my head then.
Well, there's a moment where he's trying to get the machine to work, and then one of the electricity pillars isn't activating.
Shit, it hits
and he climbs up, and it scars his whole
arm. And that's
arm.
meant to imply that it keeps doing that.
And then we do actually get a really fantastic scene where we get middle Jonas in that makeup.
That is That's scary stuff.
It's so creepy.
No, so that worked for me really well because then as well, finding out that it happened to him really young goes, oh, that Jonas that we see, that's the spooky time traveler guy from the first season, that is now older Jonas.
Yeah.
To find out older Jonas is only looks like that for a very small period and then gets scarred. And then kind of that 30-year jump, he's scarred that whole time.
Yeah,
that's engaging because that's going to just fuck with you, man. Like turning around and looking at people and Hannah being like, oh! Or whatever, you know. I don't... But his acting, when he's like, this can't be, like, being an act under all that prosthetics. Like, I was like, oh, I'm in with this guy now. But there was always a big disconnect from me for him being Jonas. I really don't know if the show ever got... In season 7, no, episode 7, the second last episode, there's like a montage towards the end where it's like, oh shit, the white devil's there at the... You know, in that room, and she meets her for the first time, and it's putting all the pieces into place.
Yeah.
I just was like, I suddenly, as this was happening, I was like, I don't feel like we've got here. I just don't feel like the characters got the scenes to make me go, they're here. It just, so much of it was just, how do we explain this? The other timeline, the other universe just did it. Like, how did Claudia do anything? Other Claudia said shit. Then she shot that Claudia.
And then took her place. And then essentially manipulated both sides. I think the big takeaway... I think I'm just
too confused. I feel like once you introduce two of everybody, it just... Scenes would happen where I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, oh shit, no, this is the other Charlotte. So I don't give a fuck about this Charlotte. She's having sex with Ulrich? I don't buy that. I don't buy that, Keiran.
You don't?
No!
Even though her husband is...
sure.
They have all these problems, and Ulrich... I mean, you buy it with Ulrich.
I buy it with Ulrich for sure. And for him, when he's like... He's with Hannah, and Hannah's like, I love you. And he's like, you're so beautiful. I'm like... Like 80% of it was working. And then it would... I just felt like... I don't know, man. Making that guy without the eye not have an arm made me actually cringe. I was like, oh, that's not... I get it. He's... They're such... It's superficial, uninteresting changes. The changes for me that were really dramatic was Ulrich cheats on her, but then goes, no, I'm with her now, has baby, but then cheats on her because, one, Hannah's the worst person in the world. But... I don't know, man. I just felt like there was, like, I don't know, man. There's so many questions, like, and I know they kind of explain it, but I don't feel like they do. Like, episode 4 or 5, when Jonas is like, he gets attacked by 4 Marthas, he's like, there's too many Marthas! Martha! And she shoots herself, and then later on in the season, we get to that point where she's like, I am this person, and she's walking out there, it's all just like, what is this? None of this is anything anymore.
That broke my mind when they shot young Jonas.
Because it doesn't make sense. And then they're like, well, actually, Schrodinger's cat. That doesn't make sense. That's not an excuse because he's not in a box. This isn't a tree we're not seeing fall over, being like, well, does it make a sound if you don't hear that sound? No, but I see him die. I'm there. He just is suddenly 2 people. And they're like, this is the split line. This is where it all split. That doesn't make any sense. So when they were like, it's a third world and we split these 2 worlds, but then what was that moment? How is he now still 2 people alive? That doesn't play for me at all. And he just runs off into the basement and survives the apocalypse?
Well, that was always what happened for him to get to the stranger and then Adam, is that he went into the basement and survived.
But then they grab him out and then shoot him.
Whoa, what?
So she grabs him out, takes him to the other universe. And then eventually he jumps around for a bit and then is shot. But see, I don't even know which Jonas was killed then, because there's too much going on. So I don't want to have to watch it twice to get it, because I got season 1 and 2.
Did you?
I feel like I did.
I don't think I got season 2 the first time I watched it completely. When I got the main beats, and I think maybe that's what's happening here, is that...
I just don't think the main beats are clear, man.
Like that's exactly what I was going to say, is that what... So it was the lesser details in season 2 that didn't quite make sense on first watch, that when you rewatch everything comes together.
It's beautiful.
But the big beats always kind of make sense and you're following it. Whereas this time, it's the little details all kind of make sense, alt-world stuff, but it is kind of inconsequential. But the big beats of the story are so thought experimenty that it's a very, you have a very hard time wrapping your head around quantum entanglement, and you're also trying to process the end of this show and all these characters. And I think this was the big risk of this show going in, was that they really, and I said this in our last talk, that there has to be a point where there's a split, where there's a clear decision, where there's two paths.
The deterministic.
And they did exactly that. The problem is that, and I always had a feeling they're going to have such a hard time explaining it, because they've doubled down so hard in determinism. That what they... I almost feel like what they should have done is just have him run into the basement at the end of season 2, but then what a shit ending.
Yeah, you need that like,
you know, because that was originally, I suppose, even though there's no original, because it's an infinity.
Yeah.
So essentially, there's a point when the apocalypse happens that time stands still
for that split second.
I
love the idea of that.
That
That's
you can go
yeah.
back and alter, but whatever else was done also happened. And I don't know how many times it can be altered. That isn't clear to me, because they end up being 3 separate things that occur. Mm-hmm. The first one is that Martha saves Jonas, takes him to the old world. The second one is that Jonas saves himself by running into the basement. And then the third one, which in the show they tell us doesn't happen, you know, ad infinitum or whatever you call it. It only happens once, is when Adam comes back and rescues Jonas, and then takes him to the alt world for him to do to Martha what Martha did for him. Yeah. Which is save him in that moment in time during the apocalypse, where you can change things. So essentially, whenever the apocalypse happens, there's a moment where, the way they explain it, time stands still and a change can be made, but that you end up
creating 2 worlds.
And those 2 worlds all must loop back on each other. So Jonas both died and survived because he always had to die and survive, because he has to have his child in one timeline and in the other one not, but grow old to be Adam. And if those 2 things never happened, then nothing ever happened.
So it's the Jonas that has sex with Martha in her universe that gets shot, right?
Yes.
After that.
So
right?
So Adam technically never had sex with alt Martha.
That's not... Yeah. See,
he just went into the basement, then came out, found alt Claudia, grew middle-aged with Noah, Claudia, and Elizabeth.
I liked seeing all that. That was really cool.
And then
he's like, we're going to be friends forever until you betray me.
Yeah. But I got to say that I really don't know if I really wanted them to do more work on...
Them being friends?
No, on Jonas becoming the stranger.
Yeah.
No, not Adam.
Oh,
the stranger.
Middle boy.
The guy we meet in season 1, episode 2.
That's what I'm talking about. At the end of the...
Who's coming back going, I can change things. Why would he think that?
It doesn't make sense.
When he went through all of that, he would come back and think everything is still deterministic. What changed his mind during the apocalypse?
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the stuff where at the end of episode 7, everyone, and it's like they're all like walking, like the policemen are walking at the start. They're looking for Nickel, and he's looking, and you see all the characters like Noah and everyone being like, "You want to get in the car?" And you're like, "It's a son or whatever." Oh, but everyone's fitting into their positions from the start of the show. For me, none of their characters make sense.
I think some do, some don't.
I'm sure they. I don't know.
Do you know what?
I was like,
do you know what does work for me? Is the stranger becoming Adam. Because what we essentially do is watch him lose his humanity, both literally. And, you know, his mind decays as well. Not even as I believe a result of the experiments, but we just watch this man trapped in time who's seen this future so long ago, knowing where he's going to end up, but being unable to stop everything. And he just gives up. He's like, fuck this. I'm going to end all of it. And now I believe... Well, I believe that he became Adam. Yeah. Because of course he did. Because what a horrible fate. Yeah. What a horrible reality to be in. Your friends don't trust you. The people you grew up with are even detached from you because you look completely different, and then you have to work with
And
these
he looks
people.
like this monster they all know is coming.
I would say maybe the character that might have disappointed me the most is Bartosz.
I was just about to say, you're going to say Bartosz. So
yeah, let's go into him for a bit.
What happened was, I watched the whole season, and I had 4 things that I wanted to see happen, and I was pretty positive not a fucking single one of them was even addressed mildly. I haven't rewatched it, because I feel like, honestly, this final season shouldn't be so confusing that I need to rewatch it and rewatch scenes, but I flicked through some of it. But I did not rewatch the scene in season 2 when Noah kills what we thought was Bartosz. Was that the same actor as Old Man Bartosz?
Yeah.
It was.
It's Bartosz.
I think that you need to show that scene again. I think you...
It's too disconnected.
It's nothing now, man. It's a nothing... I think if this was
It
lost...
doesn't make sense.
We would have had that scene. We would have seen 2 minutes before or 2 minutes after that moment we saw.
What happened to
Bartosz? How did he get
there?
there?
No, who raised Noah? Bartosz was there when Celia was giving birth.
Oh, I see.
He didn't travel anywhere. He didn't do anything. He can...
Oh my god.
Who raised it? Like, why don't we get Adam raising his children, turning them, being like, you need to follow me. Your father's lost.
Because there are like 43 Marthas we need to fucking watch do literally nothing. The only
Not the characters we've been following for fucking since 2017. Yeah. Bartosz is
the main.
You made him a main character. Yeah. You made me invested in him. You, Baran Odar. You, Jantje Friese. You got me invested in this. And then you don't do anything with it. And what do we get?
Bartosz yells at him. He finds out he's Adam. He pushes him in the rain.
They fight for a bit.
And then he meets a girl in the woods who's from the future. He fucks her, cuts the pregnant baby, done.
And he's like, oh, it's Noah. Oh, it's Agnes. I guess I won't do anything with that information and continue on with my life and keep digging the tunnel and not tell my kids that I'm their parents.
It doesn't...
None of it adds...
No, I think as well with Agnes, there was a whole thing where she's like, the pastor. None of that made sense. That wasn't addressed at all.
Well, no, okay. Briefly addressed, but very, very, very...
I don't remember a single scene.
Okay.
I don't remember her being in this season again. She got the Mickle treatment.
She is barely in it, and she is... I was going to go to her after Bartosz because... Bartosz annoyed me more because he's more of an integral character. But the promise of Agnes frustrates me because they promise so much in season 2 that they never deliver.
Yeah, in season 1, femme fatale. Season 2, actually, she's not. She's in the whole thing.
Oh, she's working with Claudia. She's weaving back in. She gets back into Sigma Mundus and kills her fucking brother.
3, not in the show again.
She is in the future, and
Is
Adam sent Adam.
I literally can't remember.
So she's Celia's daughter.
Yeah.
And we see Celia and her have a moment together. And then Adam sends them both back in time. We see Celia come out in 1888. We never see where Agnes goes. We never see where she goes. Okay. We never, and this is middle-aged Agnes. So she has already done all the stuff we've seen. So conceivably, Adam sent her somewhere to go do something that we now will never know what it was, or what that amounted to, or what her role was in all of this.
So just as well, with Bartosz, remember that time where you were like, remember how he was time traveling and the thing, and the kids found him? No, he wasn't time traveling. I was right. He was doing fucking nothing.
Yeah. He travelled for no reason.
No, I don't think he was traveling. It was just maybe it was a typo.
I went back to that episode and checked.
Might have been
there's time travel.
Might have been a production issue.
Sure. Yeah. We need to discuss something. So in our Dark Season 1 and 2 review, we discussed the theory about the calendar. The calendar that is marked off originally until the 20th, and then the 27th is circled, the date of the apocalypse. The 21st, very specifically, is not crossed off in 2053.
It gets a sexy close-up and everything.
The future that Jonas is in, and we get a close-up of it, and then we cut back to Hannah, who goes and marks off the 21st.
Yes.
And the theory was that she killed herself at some point before marking off that final date, which means she never traveled back, and this is the grain of sand that's been changed.
That changes it from deterministic to fucking anything goes, baby.
But instead...
And Jonas comes back in another time to create a new time, saves her, but turns out, as you fucking called me from Friday...
So I'm editing season 1 and 2 podcasts. Yeah, I'm putting it together, and I go back to the footage on Netflix of the calendar for reference.
The favourite theory. The most exciting theory, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I didn't pick it, but it was so it was a 1%er where only a nerdy, over-obsessed fan, the best type of fan, would figure it out. And then you go, as you explained to me, oh, you found it. You've now made the twist. Something's going to happen in season 3 where both of us will be like, yeah, we saw. Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
and everyone else will be like, what?
I missed the calendar.
I don't know what. They didn't. Yeah,
but no, it was a production mistake.
It was a Starbucks cup.
Yeah,
it's not near. I don't even mean to. Sorry, it's offensive to draw comparisons. But
they went back in and they changed the calendar. They changed it so that the 21st was always marked off. So it was just a production error. So all those close-ups,
just accidental.
Yeah, it was just an accident. So
it isn't inherently wrong with the show. Like, Buffy has some horrendous production issues, continuity in the show. And it did that, I can see it and be like, well, Dark's so specific. It's so intricate. I think that its season 2 ends, and I think that I feel like I trusted it to know where it was going. When you called me on Friday, the day before season 3 aired, I remember being like, that is a horrendous shame. I just arrived at a mate's house though, so I didn't really, I processed it. Then I went and I played Heroes 3 all night and I didn't think about it again. As I was watching the show and the issues started to build up for me every fucking 10 minutes, I was like, it's because of things like that where I was like, it's so detailed, it's almost unfair. It's the same, no matter what Thrones had done, even if it would have been bearably good, like minimalistically good, it would have disappointed everyone.
I actually think I think it's worse that they went back and changed it. I think that if you make a mistake like that and you put that out into the world and you have people discussing it and digesting it and talking about it, and then you go back in and fix it because it wasn't your intention, that you are changing the product that you created and altering mistakes that were made, and as a result altering the original show. And I guess it's an interesting question of where does the creator of something leave it, and
I only think I would agree with you 100%, except for in this one case.
Well, there's this.
I just think that
No. All I was going to say was there's a scene in season 1 where Jonas and Bartosz are playing a video game on PlayStation 4 controllers. You remember the scene?
Yeah.
Both the controllers,
killing the things.
Both the controllers are off. The light isn't on.
Yeah, right. Is it? Yeah.
That's a production mistake.
Don't change that.
Well, why not? If you're going to change the calendar, why not fix that thing that bugs me in that scene and takes me out of the show that isn't integral to the plot? Why are you not changing that, but you are changing the calendar thing? Where are you drawing the line here? Because that is a production error that doesn't change any meaning, that is just making me go, I can see those controllers aren't on because I have a PS4.
Yeah. I think it's the same thing as when they, like, just in general with controllers being on, they'll be like, and you'll be like, and then cut to the game, you'll be like,
and
what are you doing in this game?
I'm half joking. I don't really care, It doesn't.
No.
Yeah. But I do. And
I think that, like, you change the controllers and it's just like, you're paying someone to do something that doesn't need to be done. We literally had one of our major theories for season 3 was hinged on a production issue. I think that if you look at this show 10 years in time, maybe just change that so people watching in the future for the rest of time aren't like, and then aren't like, what?
Yeah. I guess because there are so many cutaways, that's why they did it.
I think because it feels, once explained to you, deliberate.
Yeah.
And it's deliberately a mistake. It's not deliberately, but it's like, it's a proper mistake. And it's not like a funny mistake. Like the mistake I was messaging in Buffy is like, she picks up a coffee cup in a wide, and then in the close-up, she just picks it up again. And you're like, what? you could change that, but also you don't need to because it's not making me go, but she touched the two coffee cups, which means she's a witch, which means she's from a parallel universe. Or what, it doesn't, whereas we were like, Hannah has died, that's a parallel universe. Whereas what they were doing is literally they were introducing a parallel universe with a parallel Hannah who's pregnant. So I don't think you want to confuse it too much. Man, we have a lot of issues to get through. I don't know if we want to be bogged down in this one.
So in one timeline, Hannah has sex with Egon Tiedemann.
Yeah.
And then remains in that timeline.
It says I'm beautiful, but it still doesn't work out. I loved it. No, it says I love you. I loved that straight away, and it still didn't work.
But then he keeps calling her Katerina, and you just feel that sting every time. Also,
why did she go with that name?
There's another bootstrap paradox. I think she picked the name because she wanted to get in to see Ulrich.
Oh,
and I think the only way in her mind, if I say I'm Katerina, he will accept. And, not knowing how the 1950s works where it's just cops lock people up for whatever. With no evidence.
He's still been there for 34 years.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so devastating. But Katerina, so Hannah goes to get an abortion and runs into Katerina's mother and gives her the name of her future daughter.
Is that the scene where the child goes in for the...
That's Katerina's mom.
Yeah, I figured 50s. It was... I was like, as I was watching, I'm like, that's someone. I'm like a bit lost. I got the scene.
Helene Elbers, I think her name is, and she is the lady who works in the psych ward with Ulrich.
Yes.
And who kills Katerina in another tragic, twisted...
So, let's jump for a second maybe to the... Wait, were you...
I got so many thoughts and I can't keep...
I was going to say, because I've written a thing here that was... Yeah, I've got the deaths.
Yeah.
So, throughout this season, there are 4 deaths of characters in terms of like... So, Peter is killed by a rapist. Mm-hmm. Katerina is killed by her mom. Jonas kills Hannah. Tonte kills Regina. All of them felt like the writers were like, how good was it when we had characters kill people? It's like, it felt like they were like, Jax's favourite part of season 1 was Ulrich killing the kid. Better put that in the finale and have the parallel universe of it. I don't, fuck you, Duck, no. I saw it, and done! And then season 2, it was like, oh, we did another loop where someone's like preventing the death and then accidentally kills them with Claudia and her dad. And then this time, the only one that I kind of was like, alright, was the Katerina's mum one. Because
there was work done there, and it felt like it was paying something off.
And it wasn't just a brutal death for death's sake. It was a brutal death because, one, she's dead. That's horrifically tragic because she forced her mum by attacking her.
But details had been established early in the show.
And Ulrich is still trapped, which for me is the only connective tissue of all 3 seasons that holds together in the way that I felt like the first 2 seasons did. Where... I don't know, man. I just feel like the show really lost track of like the characters.
Do you think
that were real? Like Ulrich is a real man who, I don't know. Everyone who disappears due to time travel to me was no longer a character anyway. So it was like, oh, Claudia's dead. Claudia doesn't make any sense to me at all as a character anymore. Jonas is so far beyond Jonas at this point that I just think it's a parody. Like Claudia rocks up in the finale and it's like, hey, I'm here. You don't understand how the game works. There's a 3rd universe. You know how she explains it? Because I replayed the footage this morning to double check I was sure. She's just like, oh, I figured it out.
Yeah.
What do you mean you figured it out?
How?
What do you mean? With the flashbacks that I got to see that you've clipped? What do you mean? You didn't see those flashbacks in episode 7. You didn't see the color change. You don't know that's the clockmaker. What do you mean you figured out there was a 3rd world? With what evidence? No fucking evidence. She's just like, I figured it out, and there's a flashback, and she's like looking at some papers, and she's just like, oh, and she just looks at the wall, and she's like, oh, I was trying to find the point we're all connected, and I realized there's a 3rd world. How?
You're right.
She didn't.
You're absolutely right.
The finale fucking completely falls apart. It makes no sense. I tried to find footage this morning to back myself up, and I couldn't even sit through full scenes because it's so close, man. It is so close to being right, but. How does Claudia figure that out? It doesn't make any sense. And she's like, you had to do all of this. Everyone keeps saying
She said
Start
this is
beginning-
the first time we've had this conversation. How do you know?
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Every time someone says something is deterministic and that people keep saying it's a loop. We're a loop. We've been doing this for infinite. No, you haven't. That's not how anything works. If you're a baby and then you're an adult and then you're an adult and then like an older adult, like a fucking old cunt or whatever, you're 10, you're 43, you're 73 or 76 or whatever. It's like, but then you die. And it doesn't matter if you go back in time and just start it all. That's only 100 years. Do you know what else happens after 100 years? Just other shit. Other stuff outside of Germany. Outside of Winden. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't actually... They're like, it's an infinite loop of things. Causality. Oh, do words. It's not. Once they die as old people, the rest of Germany is moving on and just doing whatever happens. But apparently not. Apparently it's just cyclical. It's like, this has been going on for infinite years. But it hasn't been.
I mean,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like technically,
it's only because people are moving
through time. But
Yeah.
they are still being born at a point and then dying at a point.
It's just
and
that
then
they travelled somewhere
and
else.
And then the next day is another day. That's like saying that like. It's just the same as saying that I don't know, man. I just don't think that held up at the end, and I felt like it was working. And for some characters, it makes sense. Like Infinite Baby. In a way, he's kind of infinite because he's always seeing that he's doing something and knowing that he did do it. So the middle guy is like, I've seen myself do it. So, and I know the context that I will survive to see this. So that all works
just
for me.
Branching off that, sorry, because you just mentioned something that
sorry.
this is actually a sequence I really loved in the season.
Yeah.
Bar one shot.
Oh,
Okay, so the whole sequence.
Which sequence? Sorry?
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
One shot. 2 out of 10. The 1986 causing the event that created the God particle in 1986 by the cleft lip trio.
Mm-hmm.
Middle-aged guy and then young and old guy in each reality.
Yeah, with that beautiful song playing.
Mirrored along the central axis where every shot is perfectly mirrored except the shot where they turn the crank.
Really?
It's not perfect.
Ah, yeah.
But every other
the shot
shot
is perfect.
and it really bugged me. I was like,
Is that meant to maybe be that everything's symmetrical, but then the point of annihilation is meant to be different? Because they did say everything happened differently.
Well, you know what?
I don't know why I'm trying to defend this show.
A week
I don't like it
ago,
anymore.
I would have been right on your side, but then when that calendar shit happened, do you know what I think happened? Someone knocked the tripod.
But you can crop in.
Yeah, someone knocked it and they went, oh well.
It doesn't matter. Season
Every
3.
other shot is perfect,
Yeah.
but this one shot of the hand cranking causing the fucking thing to happen is just out of whack.
Yeah.
Don't like it. If every shot was just out of whack in the scene, I'm on board.
Yeah,
because everything's just off. But
Do you also think? I don't know. It's like
that's such a minor gripe.
No.
But it did really
love
bug me because it was
because
just
it's meant to be
Yeah.
See, that's the same thing as I feel like when you're trying to make like that's what annoys. I'm gonna get way off topic for a second. But you're saying that perfection. That's what annoys me about Wes Anderson. Don't make it 100% perfect. You're pissing me off, and he does it for 90 minutes, and it makes me want to kill myself by the end because it's just too perfect. So you're right. If you're going to be perfect, you have to be perfect. If the shot's meant to be symmetrical, it better be symmetrical.
Yeah, and if you get into the...
Not to be rude, but that's what the show is.
You
the show
get into
keeps
the editing
being-
suite and that shot isn't symmetrical, you go fucking reshoot it.
Yeah.
Because you got a Netflix budget and you can do that.
You know what I think is one of the biggest issues I haven't really just discussed in terms of like what actually... Because I think this show... I mean, I watched all 8 episodes. I remember last week we were like, oh, it's going to come in 2 days. We'll never be able to do it by the next time we hang. And I was like, I'll give myself 9 days.
Yeah.
I started and I knew I was finished. I was like, I'm not going out this weekend.
Yeah.
Like I came home from work and I was like, I'm going to watch it this week. That's all I'm going to do this weekend on my time off. And there was not a point of me being like, you know what? I don't care.
We were both in.
I was so in.
Yeah.
And I think most of my issues really stem from being maybe almost too in. I can't even imagine how you feel. Because honestly, every time an episode started, played, ended, I was like, I haven't got a message from Keiran since he said he started watching. I wonder if he watched the pilot and then went, oh no, I'm not going to, oh no. Because honestly, from the get-go, I was like, it's just like, they didn't, we were like, how are they going to fit everything in 8 episodes? It didn't actually occur to me it would be about 3 episodes of content. That's what really annoys me. Because it's 3 episodes of random stuff happening. Episode 4 is all Tonti flashback as a kid. irrelevant nothingness. I don't care that he's having sex with his one child and he's also a child. But then,
like
the other girl is, it's like, what?
Yana and Claudia, yeah.
Who cares about any of that
Do you know
bullshit?
what that all that is them playing on the fact
We
that
thought
the
they were the
Tronte
origin?
fan theory that, I mean,
What was the fan theory
The
again?
big red herring that they'd set up the entire show was
Yeah.
that Tronte was Regina's father.
But that's just not the case.
It's, because Claudia was sleeping with Tronte the whole time, but it was burnt. But
I
how?
just don't
you,
care.
You're so right. You absolutely. I think you just pushed me over the edge of. I was kind of teetering on that line of being like, it works, it doesn't work, and the Claudia figuring it out thing.
It doesn't
really
fucking make any sense.
It's
man.
a show breaking moment.
It's the what they've done is they've gone. We have Adam and Eve, and they're wrong. They're fundamentally wrong about how the universe exists. So we need a third party to come in and be like, because. What annoys me so much is the moment Claudia comes and tells him, I'm in.
Yeah.
I literally,
Of course.
I was watching on my computer. I just had dinner. I'd like planned it all out. I was like, I'll watch the 7th episode, dinner, have a beer, put on the final episode, and soak in it. And as soon as it started, I was like, they fixed the show. Because I was so out as soon as it focused on 2 universes. And I didn't know why it was bugging me so much. Until she literally is like, we've been so caught up in the idea of duality, light, dark, shadow. And they just keep being like, you keep saying 2 words, like one and the other one. And then she's like, but really, you forgot about season 1's thing, which was the 3. And I was like, this is everything. But it isn't 3 universes. That's not what the show is. The show is about a world that accidentally creates 2 worlds. But I still don't think that for me explains how Jonas and Martha actually exist. Do you know what I mean? Like, he time traveled a thing, and suddenly there's this dude who's like time traveling throughout the universe. It's like, okay, so at the start of this season, Martha's wearing the yellow jacket because she's Martha and she's Jonas in this. Did you get it? She's
Color
Jonas.
theory.
I get it. She's Jonas. I fucking get it. God damn it. And then she's like, oh wait, I forgot what I'm gonna say. Oh yeah, sorry. So many things to get angry about. My last thing that season 1 did, that I was like, I wonder what this means. Is Mikkel Adam? Because Mikkel is covered in fucking black ooze. I'm a ghost. When the show starts, it poses ghost supernatural madness before it's time travel. I mean, the first line is time travel, light, dark, beginning, end, and you're like, something's up. But what's up? Because he's a black ghost. Ghoul. He's like a character from Supernatural. Martha gets that, but it's Martha, not her mum.
Yeah. Simply
Because this is season 1, episode 1. Do you get it? It's a parallel.
You know why I don't get it? Because you never explained it.
No, but that's what I mean.
But they never explained either of those things.
No, and the only reason it's there again, sorry, is my point, is because
it was there.
Do you remember season 1? Yes, I do, Dark.
It's member berries.
You know what else is the worst thing? Last week you were like, I hope it's a dark universe and a light universe. And I was like the issue with Zack Snyder's Justice League. How good would it have been if Justice League had started and a bunch of guys had opened a portal and been like, this universe is dark and awful. Let's kill this Batman for being a murderer. And Batman's like, yeah, but I obviously can't kill him. We'll just lock him up. And it's like, yeah. Batman's back.
And he's got the yellow symbol.
Oh my God, can you even imagine? Superman's got the red underwear. Oh.
Like full-on colourful, original,
I can't even. I was about to start talking about that, then I'm like, oh no, we're talking about Dark.
Yeah.
But like, Dark should have been a dark universe. The idea that this third world,
or even the both.
they're both are dark versions of this light universe. You know what you can't do though? You can't have them all erase time and these universes and then have a character literally say, I had a dream where it was the same as this night, but then everything went dark. And then all the characters in that moment are like, shut up, Hannah.
It's so stupid, Hannah.
But also we need to end on a cliffhanger. So what's your baby's name? You know, I don't know, man. It really hits all the I feel like every time something's about to happen in a show, when the context of the world and everything that has happened, like I could not believe The Hobbit made the same mistake the prequels of Star Wars did by being too CGI heavy. I just remember the day I read the orcs will be CGI on Wiki. I just read that line on a news article and I was just like, But that's everyone's issue with Star Wars prequels. That's the only thing you don't do. You just don't do the same This show just... I don't understand what they were doing. And it really feels like this was their plan all along. Nothing of this makes me go, what? This came out of nowhere. It's like, no, the build with like like at the moment where she's like, it's another world. And he's like, whoa! But then she's like, and I know how to stop this world by going to the origin world and stopping time travel from existing. This show comes down to them time traveling onto a road, having a conversation with random characters
who have never met,
who have never been in the show,
we're not
who are
invested in.
outrageous stereotypes. Oh, Dad, you only like your books and your science. You don't even know a thing about me. I'm like, how did Indiana Jones do this in 3 minutes at the start of Indiana Jones 3, but better? It's the Indiana Jones thing where he's like, you love being a... What is it? Archaeologist. I was like, I forgot the word. You love being an archaeologist more than you love your own son. And the dad's like, before you enter, say Greek up to 10. And it's like, alright, the start of Indiana Jones 3 is the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. Indiana Jones 3 is the best movie.
Oh, it's the best of all.
It's the best of all. It's so good. It's the epitome of how you essentially do what I feel like they're trying to do here. But I just think Dark completely just...
shut the bed. Do you know what? From a character perspective, the Claudia stuff all works. It's just that detail that they needed to really sell us on. How
good it would have been if that episode had her accidentally travel into the origin world.
That would have been...
Like, she's like, boom, 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 I figured out everything. I'm going to save the universe. And then suddenly she's in a third world. And she's like, what? And we have to follow her for 25 minutes. And then it cuts back. And now we're halfway through the finale. And she's like, so...
I would trade all the old world stuff for that scene.
Yeah, because it would matter.
And because Claudia's character works, I think she's
as the enigma.
I think she's my favorite character in the show.
She's the Desmond.
So she wins.
Yeah. And so she's the Desmond of this. So she should come to Adam and have figured it out. Honestly, man, because I didn't have this issue till I was like kind of just scratching my head at the end when I was like,
did I miss something?
I don't know, man. I was on board until the dinner party scene. That last 5 minutes made me go, let's look back through this season because every episode I'm like, is this holding up? Is this if I like pull the strings apart, has this clothing been made properly? You know, like if I'm pulling at this string, is it just going? Is my jacket going to fall
unravel?
apart? Yeah. That's how I felt. And then I started pulling. And then I was like, there's not even a jumper to pull apart. It's just rags. My issue isn't inherently with the idea of having this, like, death and... like, the death of the hero and the sacrifice and all these things. They literally go into a time portal, though, and the timey-wimey stuff is going... and they're, like, looking through the portals and they both see each other. I actually love that. That, for me, works. You know what doesn't fucking work for me? I remember being like, you fucking goddamn kidding me. This is the level the show's got to. Your two main characters are walking through time and space, and they're all like, oh, Martha! Oh, you're here in this timey-wimey universe. They just back into each other, and it felt like, I don't know, it's like they got to set, and they're in the big CGI white, like, green screen room, and they're filming it, and they've both got each other, they've filmed it, and then he's like, oh shit, you're both meant to turn around and meet each other. And they just didn't do the blocking till the day. And he's like, I guess just bump into each other. Walk backwards, bump into each other. It felt like it was like the second unit doing it, like pickups. It just felt so like...
Well, I kind of...
Everything about it made me so like baffled.
I thought what they should have done is because it's like this mirrored axis and then they find this like third route to the original timeline. That what they should have done is like shown them both turning at the same time and just missing each other. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
All you need to do is just shoot it a little bit differently, and you can achieve exactly what they want.
Some creative. I don't know, man. I just feel like I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me that they ran out of ideas. The first two seasons are so tight. My issues with season 2. But all of them come so strong to 3. They really rear their heads and don't...
Is it a case of this show has actually just been thrown a bunch of stuff in the air and then wait until next time? And then we'll give you a lot more and throw a bunch of stuff in the air, and then wait till next time. And then this time, they get to throw a bunch of stuff in the air, but there's no next time.
They forgot to drop. They forgot to catch the balls, is what it feels like to me.
Yeah, they threw a bunch of stuff in the air, and they caught maybe
half.
Yeah, like a ball, and then the other two
just dropped.
Yeah.
I don't know though, because I hate the last 2 minutes of both the finals of season 1 and 2, but it didn't make me go. Should I go back and delve into this show to see how dumb it really is? This made me go. I reckon if I open the curtains and try and peel back this Wizard of Oz shit, I don't know what metaphor I'm trying to do. I just feel like it's a fucking dumb cunt behind a mirror just being like, time? It just feels like every time they went, the beginning is the end. The end is the beginning. No, it's not. Mikkel's not even a fucking character. Nothing makes sense to me. Like, it all just completely, and being like, it was a time travel device from a third world that created this. How exactly did it create human beings that are now time travel people?
How did it? They should have done is have Tannhaus create that machine.
I love the actual visual of the machine.
Oh,
so good.
From a production standpoint, this season is
out of control,
exceptional. Like
the desert apocalypse, incredible.
I've got lists and lists of just this and this and this and this, and a lot of it really does work, but if you don't nail down the fundamental elements, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. It doesn't matter how polished it is. It doesn't matter.
A show can look beautiful. I mean, literally, my biggest issues of finales is Rise of Skywalker and Game of Thrones, and they both look incredible. Doesn't mean anything. I'll never rewatch it again. I literally was on Disney Plus recently, and I was like, I went to click Rise of Skywalker, and I just got like sick inside because I was like, I can't even put it on for just looking at how nice Star Wars looks, because I'll just be angry.
Yeah.
No. What for me it really came down to though was just like, holy shit, endings are hard, but I don't think this one should have been hard. Because you said the idea that because Adam wants to erase the existence. So for me, it's not that they get Thanos, although why do they have to literally? It was like there was bits of red in it where I was like, I don't know. I can imagine that you've created a show and you know you're going to end it a certain way, and then Endgame comes out and you go, they stole our dust shit. And then in Endgame they do the dust stuff again. You're like, they dusted the good guys, they dust the bad guys. I'm dusting everyone. That's fine. If the show had worked for me, I would have been like, how good is it that they Endgamed? They even did the Rise of Skywalker bit, but good. That's how you do it, JJ. But I'm like, it's like they saw that and went, we got to have a like my favorite thing in a shitty horror film is being like, it's all over. Then like Freddy Krueger's like, I'm still here, and it ends. The best one's in Piranhas where they're like, those piranhas were actually baby piranhas. How big would the daddy piranha be? And then a giant piranha flies out and it cuts as it eats a guy, and it's like, that's how you end a movie. There was a scene where Claudia was like, oh my God, I have so many issues with this. When Claudia's like, I figured it all out. I figured out the dark universe. And he's like, whoa, how? She's like, well, I'll tell you next season. And he's like, She literally says, I had to make sure you came up to this point in your timeline so I could tell you now to go back and tell Jonas. No, you don't. No, you don't have to do any of that. Everything is going to be erased. Just go to Jonas from the very beginning and tell him everything. Sure. But it doesn't matter. Because then the show wouldn't exist. It doesn't really exist anymore anyway. It doesn't matter. It's not even that bad. It's really not that bad. I feel like because we did this, I was so in. But she literally says, and I think because you convinced me that The Dark was such a good title, because we discussed it, I'd never really thought about it. Just the title of the show. And you're like, maybe it's The Dark Universe. But then she's like, I had to lead you to this point. I had to make sure it was up to now that I could then tell you. I had to keep you in the dark. I had to keep everyone in the dark. Stop saying the title of the show. Everyone needs to stop saying the word dark. It's becoming fucking intolerable. Yeah. I couldn't handle it. When she said that, I was like, you haven't done that. Like, I don't even know how to fathom that they would actually think it's okay to say the word dark so... It's like, is that why you called it that? Because the character was keeping everyone in the dark. You can just phrase it any way, you know? Like the writing, as you said before we were filming today, the writing is sometimes brilliant and sometimes just what it needs to be. I feel like this season made me go, no, the writing is nothing. The writing is 101 psychology. It reminds me of a mate I have that's like talking about all this bullshit and Darwinism. No. I don't even know.
Nietzsche.
That's exactly the kind. All that stuff where it's like, I think sometimes it can work, but you know what? Like Lost in the first few episodes is like, the themes. It's so hard to believe. It's so easy to believe. And then at the end, they're having the same fight and arguments, but people on other sides. But nothing makes me go, explain. No, it's like, no, I get it. Why do some people find it so easy to believe? Why do some find it so hard? Where is that line? What is faith? How do we, Dark is the same. It's really dealing with the same things for me. It's like, people are literally like, all our pain, all the pain of our lives. Like Adam is like a man whose pain has driven him to be like, it's not worth it. I don't want to have to feel this pain forever and ever. You're going to die, Adam. You're old now. Don't worry about it.
He essentially reaches the conclusion that everybody that is embroiled in
this time travel loop, this
big
dark universe,
is essentially miserable. And
so it's not worth it.
But is it really not worth it?
I disagree.
Is not existing better than dying a horrible death?
But that's why Eva is.
It's almost a nihilistic kind of ending.
For sure, no, but that is his character. Like it's like the two characters, Eva and Adam. They've been pushed and pushed and pushed, and then one goes, "I need to preserve this. Everyone needs to. I'm gonna grab the two women, the mum, and the daughter, are gonna grab themselves. Daughter. I don't even know what was happening in that scene. I'm like, who? It's like Charlotte and Elizabeth grab baby Charlotte
and take her back to town
from Noah. That stuff for me, maybe it was just seeing Noah. All the characters in season 1, I feel like it was like Ulrich in this season was in it heaps, but it was other Ulrich, and the whole time I'm like, I can't emotionally invest in this Ulrich because we'll probably have to decide over an Ulrich. I don't know. This really did feel like Lost Season 6 where I was like, are we going to have to pick sides, pick a universe?
No,
and then,
there's no Ulrich. Yeah. Ulrich was never born because Tronte was never born. Because nobody involved in... That's why the people at that table, they're just the people who weren't time travel babies.
See, for me, I can't even contemplate who gets wiped out. Because Jonas and Martha get wiped.
Magnus, Franziska...
Mikkel?
Bartosz.
So Bartosz doesn't exist either.
Because Alexander only came and intervened in the situation. There's another character we need to get to.
I was just about to say, the final, most exciting... I remember watching season 1 and 2 again, knowing we had a third and final season that was going to explain adequately, because...
Boris Newald.
A combination...
A portmanteau of Nielsen and Carnwall.
It's too obvious.
No.
It doesn't even make sense for that to be a red herring.
He was just a guy. He was just some guy.
He's not even in the parallel universe.
Because in the parallel universe, he would have showed up in Winden and not run into Regina. Because there's no Ulrich. Which means Ulrich and Katarina were not there bullying Regina. Which means he never came into it. So conceivably, he rocked up in Winden. There was no one in that field. And then he just left.
See, the changes...
Or died, bled out.
Changes... That's kind of cool. Just in the montage at the final end, you see him bleeding out. They're like,
someone sewed me up!
And then the other guy, Alexander's like, I'm the real Alexander, just shoots him like 10 times.
So Bartosz ended up being the forefather of the entire group, in essence, because him and Celia had Noah and Agnes. Agnes had Tronte, who had Ulrich, who had etc. And Noah had Charlotte, who had Elizabeth and Franziska. So the whole group, and then Martha and Mikkel and the whole group in season 1 are time travel babies.
Yeah, right.
Who are... So because I actually did go back, end is the beginning is the end. My partner started watching it from the beginning right after I finished season 3, and I watched episode 1 again. It actually starts with Tannhaus, which I did like. That it begins and ends with him.
Is he doing the monologue at the start?
Yeah, and he's explaining everything, and we get,
What is time? Time, light, shadow, darkness. Words that don't actually mean
But
fucking
also,
anything.
I feel like the whole thing would have really hit me a lot harder if we just saw a photo of his family in that first episode. If there was that connective tissue there, if that was there in episode 1, I then I would be like, oh wow, you really paid this off 3 years ago. This little detail. But
I think for me, as negative I've been, because I was pretty shocked at how I'm just baffled. It was well-made TV in terms of I was engaged thoroughly, but I was left with just confusion. I actually love that if you're going to make it be the wacky scientist made these universes, have it be the clock guy that made the time machines.
Yeah,
I think I think that's the
element.
best character choice. I kind of love that he's not. It's like
he's not a main player.
I love that it's just like, hey, literally the second last episode of the show, we just kept showing you this guy make this machine, and you're like, this doesn't make sense to me, but there's too much going on. Also, I feel like if I was into the season, it changed how it showed the numbers. It was like 1980, this and that.
Flipped.
And then it was suddenly just like, boom, it's all over the screen. It's like,
oh, right.
And then it's like, shh, tick, 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 and it goes back, and it kept doing it. I'm like, I don't know. It was like, you've changed the style of how you're showing me time. Is it meant to be different? It's like, oh, we're actually showing us a different universe. And I don't know. I kind of love that it was like, because I felt like as it was revealed, I was like, holy shit, like the guy from, oh my God, that's what I was seeing last episode. I don't know if I want to have had that as an idea, because it kind of took me by surprise, the third world, to the point where I was like, how did I not see this? I reckon if it was week by week, I would have seen on Reddit. I don't go on Reddit, but I'm sure I would have seen somehow on Reddit, third world theory. I'm not sure if it was a big theory.
I never saw that.
I just don't understand. For me, it just works so perfectly at the third world. But then immediately at thought of that, it's just like, it doesn't... these two worlds aren't real worlds. So, I can't remember what I was going to say, but we were just talking about Clipboy, the 3 Origin baby boys.
Cleflip Trio.
Cleflip Trio boy. We follow him, and he's like, I'm a murderer. And it's like, the season starts, and he's the element, the new element. We get introduced to, there's a blind man, and this new guy. But the blind man is killed immediately, and it's like, well, he tried to do time travel, or whatever.
The 1888 Tan House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So blind man, and he gets killed. So you're like, all right, so this serial killer is going around killing...
The original Sigmundus... No, the son of the original Sigmundus.
I thought all of that was pretty cool. I like the idea they've taken Sigmundus from someone else.
Well, I like...
That stolen...
So essentially so blind guy's father lost his wife Charlotte, okay, and was trying to create time travel to bring her back and working on it, and then his son took over that, and then a bunch of time travelers rock up, and he goes,
yeah,
holy shit, it finally happened, like all this work I've done my whole life, finally people have arrived to like take on my legacy.
And then they fucking kill him.
And then he essentially heads into town to like send out a telegram and be like, I'm going to tell everyone. Time travel's real. And they're like, no, you're not.
You're not allowed to know that.
Give me that watch.
Yeah. Honestly, all of that fucking sick. I did love like probably 50-60% of this season. I thought that stuff was super, super cool. But you've got Origin Baby, who is doing all this stuff, and he goes and he kills the man from this first season. He's like, give me the keys. You kept the keys. I'm like, I know what's happening. He's killing the people, and then it's revealed that he wrote the journal. And it's like
that.
Oh, okay.
I don't like that they introduced a new character that wrote that journal.
Okay.
I hate when something like that happens.
Because I actually think that was really cool, because I don't know how I've backed myself into a corner somehow defending this show. I don't know how.
I mean, it's inconsequential.
No,
but
sure.
I would have liked if it was someone
who
was in the show the whole time.
100%. But because the show, for the first 4 episodes, is building a mystery of there's a new boy, and he's a time-traveling serial killer. All 3 of them are killing at once to create this really nice immortality. Because as the middle-aged man, due to the universe they've created, he can't die. Because young boy has already seen they've succeeded. An old man is there to ensure.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool.
They didn't do enough with it.
No. Yeah, it's building. And then
incredible premise.
it's building, but I think they ring it out to what they can for what it is. Because until you give him... No. Sorry. Let me just try and get my thoughts out. Because I think they could have done it differently. But what they decided to do was he's a man with no name. And not even that, but he's the Clint Eastwood man with no name who doesn't speak. I'm sure he says a few lines. I just can't
The
remember.
middle guy, yeah.
But he barely says anything. I literally can't remember him speaking.
The most dialogue he has is when he meets Claudia's mum in the church.
Oh shit, I forgot about this. I was going to say it's when he meets Tonte.
And they talk about Agnes because he is Agnes's partner. We never see...
Is he?
He's Tronte's father.
I don't...
Because
when? How?
Agnes, you set Agnes up. They did all this work with Agnes over these 2 seasons.
But there's not a scene with him with her. So
No, there's not one.
I don't piece that together at all, man. Because I know
he's the Infinity, and then it branches off.
Sure, yeah,
Conceivably, he travels to both realities and conceives, him and Agnes. Why? Why do we spend so much? Why do we have to watch fucking Ulrich hit held with a rock again?
But in the eye this time.
Fuck me.
It's clever, subverting expert. No, I don't even know what it is. It's just, it feels
also
too much
showed
the same, but it's like, it just feels like they didn't have a full season and went, I don't know what to do. Let's just do what we did before. People like it. But it doesn't even feel like Dark had, it's like Dark isn't like I don't know, it's not like Lost of Thrones where it's like, we can just do it again because people love, like, remember back in 2017 where the whole world was like, Dark's the best show ever. No, I literally Googled Dark today and on the wiki it's like season 1 was praised for being real similar to It's like, it had something like, it's like, that's what it was. It was just German, dark, adult Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And then once it became what it was, it's only niche followers that are obsessed with time travel-y, convoluted stories. But then once you become that, you have idiots like us who are just like, don't make it so dumb and stupid and not make any sense when it's too self-serious. If you don't have a Sawyer and Hurley character being like, oh, we're the travels islands, we're stupid. You need your Han Solos. You need a guy being like, everything is dumb. This show has none of that. So if you are going to be 100% serious,
you need a
you can't have time travel, space, and bumping into it. It's too... You can't have a dinner table scene like that.
See, I think you can have all of that if you just make it make sense.
Sure, yeah. No, sorry, sure. If it was a better scene.
It's just that Claudia thing, really. I think that is all it is. I think if you just...
Yeah, because I was back in with that third world. And then as soon as I thought about it, I was like, but how did she find out? And her thing is, I was looking at pieces of paper of people's faces and just went, oh, it's a third universe. Claudia... We spent 4 hours on our podcast discussing the show, and it didn't occur to us once there was a third world. How the fuck did you come to that conclusion? Because I'm telling you, she doesn't think about it like we did. Because she's got more better... you know what I mean? And I don't have anything, but they needed... She should have just accidentally got there. I felt like the 33-year thing, where people travelled, that's gone. I'm sure it makes sense, but literally... Martha being like 2 days older and shooting Jonas and just all that, it just became way too much. And I think the peak of that was Martha being like, walking out into the desert and then seeing Martha and it went, and I'm like, oh, the music, it's back. And she came out and she's dressed like a fucking like Sands warrior, like Mad Max style. And she unveils and we know it's going to be her. It's her and it ends. It's like, there were some ends where it was like, that's exciting. And then they go to the bunker and it's just the door in this desert. Like, there was stuff in there that was really nice to grasp and see. And like, I don't know, man. I just feel like there was a part where Martha, like Eva, whatever, was like, all 7 of you, 7 main characters standing in line from my alternate universe. You're all just going to time travel and fix all the stupid...
Bartosz and Egon.
Bartosz, you need to go do a thing. Egon, how are you here? How does this make it?
Okay, that's something I did want to touch on.
I hated that scene.
Yeah, it felt a little...
Oh, my leg. Cramp, sorry. I just suddenly cramped.
It felt a bit silly for some reason. I don't know why. Because so much
Felt
of
like a Rick and Morty sketch, man. Like all 7 were standing there and she's like, Bartosz, you go do this. Noah, you're here for love. Is that meant to be a joke because he was the villain of season 1?
So, in the original timeline, we followed through season 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah goes back to 1954, 53, and gets into a relationship with Egon Tiedemann, and they have a child, which is Celia, who is the mother of Noah and Agnes. So she takes Celia back to 1888 timeline.
When is that Celia in the future?
Celia is Elizabeth's adopted daughter in the future because Jonas...
She's the welcome to the future chick.
Yes, with the scar. We never see how she gets the scar. And it is interesting that...
There's a lot of people with injuries.
Eve goes, now you remember who you work for. So what I kept thinking was,
she's done that too.
To Celia because she works for her too. No, didn't go anywhere. Didn't do anything.
I think that kind of stuff is just to go, we have this lady we're introducing in the future. Let's make sure we have obviously not like the younger version of anyone. Cut her face. No one has a face cut. Can't be anyone from a child. You know
cool. But she also had her face cut as a small child. No, and they never explain how she gets it.
I think that's them being like, we have no space to put a cut face scene. I actually loved that she was like, remember who you are, and cuts herself from the part. It's like, because that for me is that same like looping of I can never imagine being there, but then getting to that point and being like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
But then that same character who has to do that shoots Jonas in the 5 Marthas versus 1 Jonah. There was a moment, and I wish I brought this up last week, where I kept saying there's like just moments in the show where I'm like, they keep doing this one thing and it just keeps reminding me of this other piece of content. I've just recently watched, because of the Justice League announcement with Zack Snyder and stuff. I'm dating the episode. No, it's coming out when Dark's coming out. It's dated. But they just keep saying, like, in season 1, 2, they keep being like, Martha, and I'm like Batman's mom. It just kept kind of coming. And that scene though with 5 Marthas though, it's too many Marthas in one room. I feel like that works for me until it just feels like.
Sorry, let me just go back to this point because I've tried to do it 3 times and I keep getting distracted.
Yeah.
So Hannah, mother of Celia, with Egon, but in the old timeline, Hannah is with Ulrich. And is pregnant. But
that baby dies. Remember, she's like got the blood.
So then
the lights are going out towards the end.
Old Egon arrives. What? Because Eve sent old Egon. So I guess old Egon has to have sex with Hannah.
Is that what happens though? I was confused by that.
Well, there's a Noah and an Agnes in the old timeline. So Hannah had to have Celia. Yeah, but
how is he going to explain that? He's like, grab the young one.
We gotta fuck. Yeah, we gotta fuck, Hannah. I swear, this is real. This isn't
time travel. She's like, what?
No one's told me anything about time travel in this reality. Yeah. Are you sure? I just don't understand why we didn't get the explanation of how Noah becomes such a firm believer in the cause.
I honestly think every character does make sense to where they get to at the start of the show. Because we're following them at that last point. And we see him with Jonas and they're all out in the old-timies, dealing with being in the old-timies. It's just that Charlotte gets taken from him. That's it. That's the only reason he does anything. And then Adam's like, I'll help you get Charlotte back. And that's why he ends up turning on Adam. Because he's like, you knew.
No.
You knew.
I'm talking even further back from when Noah, Hanno Tauber, is a child up until he's 17 and kills his father. That period of time we get nothing filled in. And that's so integral. Like, all you need is a scene or two of Adam like grooming Noah into this believer that he's going to become, so that he's going to be. We don't get any. Like, does he even know that he kills his father? I don't know.
I don't.
It doesn't seem like. I rewatched that scene at the start of season 2, it doesn't seem like Bartosz
is aware what's happening.
Well, I mean, Bartosz has to know that that's his son, but does he know that that's his father? Did Bartosz raise Noah? Obviously not, if Noah just kills him because he's lost faith. What does Bartosz do all that time?
Bartosz just dies.
Just accepts his death, knew it was coming, how? We don't know. Gets killed by his son.
And when he has the son,
but he never had
like...
faith. Bartosz never had faith in Adam. So the idea that he lost faith is absurd.
Do you think there's maybe too many jumps between characters in them? I think this show...
Too many arcs.
I think this show loves to be like, they're here, and a character be like, I could never get to there. Then they just get there. And there's too many of them to actually... There's not. If this show had decided to not have a parallel universe, which I think would have made a lot...
Or have it, but leave it more enigmatic.
Yeah, no, you know what's so frustrating? We don't need, like...
We don't need Aura and Charlotte affair that takes 3 scenes out of the show. But we do need Bartosz raising Noah, or Adam raising Noah. Because that's an integral part of the show that we've been following for years.
It's characters having moments where it's like, if I looked at this season, I'd be like, okay, we have these 8 episodes, and you've spent the first 2 full episodes with Martha and Jonas meeting each other in universes and times and things. I can accept that. Jonas can just go there, be like, whoa, and then have him off screen be told by Martha about all that stuff. Stop spending time with that, because you're just going to do that. Or spend way more time. This show could have done with a 10-episode final season. Cut out 50% of the parallel universe stuff. Because there's moments where it's literally characters just being like, I just don't care. Like, it's just so infuriating to me. Like, there are moments where it'll cut to someone and Peter Doppler's just doing a thing. And I'm like,
my God.
Like, stop doing anything in this universe. Who cares?
We spend so much time with Elizabeth and Peter, which ends up really just like...
So there's heaps in the parallel universe that is just literally pointless. And in the
Prime,
real universe...
Which is also kind of pointless.
Oh, you know what my least favourite part of the show was before this final season. And it was... It's the Reign of Fire, the Road of Eli Grey universe, the Grey Apocalypse.
Yeah.
I hate the visual. I hate the idea of it. The only moment of that was good when she's like, I'm sick of this shit, bro. And he's like, nah. And she's like, they're dead. They're fucking dead.
Start it there.
I'm done. Start there. Because you know what I get when that happens? This is what they do every day.
Yeah.
He brings her through. The guy's like, what are you doing?
Of course they're doing that. Because they're looking for their mum and their sister. Like,
we don't need to see them do it, fail, and then have the scene. It might be only twice, but all I got was I haven't seen The Road, but I know exactly what it is. Yeah. It's Aragorn with his son, and a bunch of cannibals try and kill him, and it's awful and miserable. Everyone's like, read the book. I'm never going to read a fucking book ever. Shut up. And I'm not watching this stupid, long, grey, boring movie about awfulness. I don't understand why they had to do anything. All you do is have them go, we're going out here to do it, and she's like, no,
I'm done.
And then cut back to her alone in the caravan. Serial killer rocks up. He's like, because that moment was actually really creepy. He's sitting there, and I loved it. He's eating and goes, oh, this is delicious. I should help. She'd like some food too. And it's creepy. There's a disconnect from his reality and the reality I'm watching. I understand what's happening. This world is fucked. We only need 5 minutes. That could have been, we could have in 7 minutes have her do that scene where we see, and she's like, no. Have that moment, have the awful, awful scene where I know the whole scene, Peter Doppler's dying. Because just before, someone's like, you're already dead in the future, and I'm here. So I know. It's so close to being good, but really, as I was watching it, I'm like...
Less is more.
We just have to see this awful death. I feel like now the show's over and we get to that end bit, the only reason he died in such a horrific way is so that I'm like, yeah, this really is a horrific world. Maybe everyone should just erase everything. Whereas I think that maybe if the show had kind of developed more of the positives this season... that there'd be a tragedy to them erasing themselves. So I'm like, fucking erase it. Everyone's just dead anyway. Katarina murdered.
Dead or miserable.
Yeah, and it just, it is just such a dark universe that I don't know. I don't know what I want. I feel so lost with just like...
I'm actually, you know what?
I feel so like relentless.
For the most part, pretty content with most of what we got, despite the fact that there's a lot of wasted time and that there's a lot of scenes that I really would have loved to again and to have gotten, and a lot of characters that just got abandoned. But the actual overarching narrative plot, I think it works. Like on paper, it's all there. It's just lacking a couple of beats that are really fundamentally necessary to make everything else work. And if you just had two more episodes, really, like if it was 10, 8, 10, it also symmetrically kind of fits. And season 2, 8 episodes, perfect, you know? But if you want to do all the old world stuff, you also want to tie up all these loose ends, you probably needed a couple more episodes.
I think you need to have a season that, for me, does not feel like they padded it with gibberish.
Yeah.
It felt like they didn't have 8 episodes. They did not have anything to do anymore.
How can you not after all that groundwork?
No, for sure,
they
for
should
sure.
Have
That's
16.
But see, we spent 25 minutes with Tonte in the final season, in the episode 4.
Who is just not...
It's not needed.
No.
I love seeing it because I love seeing the characters.
Because I was waiting for...
I love watching the things on the screen with the characters I love. But it's over now, and I can look back and be like, why did we spend that episode? It's a red herring. Is there anything beyond that character building wise? It can be, sure, but that character to me is now irrelevant because every single second everyone takes, if it's not related to Jonas, is pointless. And even Jonas' stuff, it's not... Deleting yourself from time, I think, could have played to me if... Because Adam, that's what he wants. He's like, I'm going to erase it all. I'm a narcissist. And Eve's like, I'm not a narcissist. The pain makes us who we are. It reminds me of the... there's a great episode of something in some show, maybe like Black Mirror or something, where they essentially go like, everything kind of sucks, but it's worth everything sucking because it's the good stuff.
There are moments of
the good is good enough. The bad, life isn't all just happy running around eating pancakes. It's sometimes it sucks, but I don't know, man. I just don't know I don't know what I want.
I don't think the show knows what its message is. I don't think it really fundamentally knows what it's about at its core. And I felt like that it presented itself as being so sure of that for those first 2 seasons.
Yeah, it really...
That the fact that it didn't have that I maybe feel like that I was sold a lie.
It's so based around determinism. And that every action we do, we don't actually have a choice. I loved, because last week we talked about, I was like, that gun bit feels very lost. Bam, bam, you can't die. Bam! They literally had her go, huh?
Noah and Jonas, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sorry. Yeah. I got that mixed up with someone else.
So
that happened again.
Jonas tries to hang himself. Noah comes in and cuts it, and then gives him a gun, and he's like, go, try.
I love...
And then he takes it back, shoots the wall.
You know what?
That's from Lost.
That is literally from Lost. I said that last week. I'm like, they stole it from Lost.
As I was watching it, I was thinking of you saying exactly that.
And you know what? You'd probably think I'd hate that. Love that scene. Because you know what that scene said to me?
There are rules.
Jax, shut the fuck up. There are rules. We understand what we're doing. And inside this box will be the constraints of the universe. And Adam or Eve or Claudia are going to try and break through the box. And that might destroy everything or create a new... It's like something's going to happen when someone tries to do that. Claudia literally is just like, I did it. I broke out of the deterministic thing by somehow, for no reason at all, finding out about the third world. So I'm telling you now, at the end of the story, because I could totally do it at any other point.
I found spoilers here on the sheet of paper. Adam's like, can I see them? No.
No. That's not how it works. But trust me.
Yeah, I know.
Trust me. I've read this and I understand.
I read the script.
And then they just go into a weird CGI portal universe.
She just found the script to episode 8.
And then she's like, I've got all the answers. And he's like, what? This doesn't make any sense. And she's like, if the story keeps moving forwards, it makes sense because I'm saying words and things are then.
We've had a conversation a couple of times about, are things good or bad,
everything sucks,
or are they just how they're presented? And I think this...
No story is good.
Well, no, actually...
No, it's the opposite.
I actually think this proves maybe that theory wrong.
Okay.
In that the presentation of the show and the production and everything that you see that isn't kind of plot works.
Oh yeah.
But just not having that integral piece of the puzzle there, I really hope that we didn't miss something. But you know what?
Don't think we did because I skipped through this whole season this morning and
they also
was getting more angry.
They also released an incredible website. It's called darknetflix.io.
Okay.
It is one of the greatest movie TV show websites I've ever stumbled across, where to shield everyone from spoilers depending on where you are at the show, you pick where you're up to. Wow. So it's got 1, 2, 3 in a tricetta, and then the episodes below it. So if you want to know everything, the whole family tree, 3-8, and it gives you the entire family tree for the whole show, and then you can click through. I clicked through the entirety of Claudia's and read through every single last tidbit on there, and there's no explanation to how she figures that out. So if there is something we missed, they also didn't put it on the website.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It doesn't matter if it's on the website, because you know what a website is?
But at least...
It's the same... Sorry.
No,
let me finish my answer. No, sorry. That's what I'm saying. But you know what it is? It's the same. I'm going to bring it up because it's the worst fucking movie ever made. Rise of Skywalker put Palpatine's unfucking back cunts in Fortnite! I've never played Fortnite, but all I know is it's a game. It's just the popular game for kids. Yeah. It's a committee of people Googling what game, how do I reach kids? How do I get the kids to know what are the cool kids playing? Fortnite. Chuck it on Fortnite.
Did they forget that they were
a movie? No. A fucking movie? I don't want it to be in a book or a game. I want to be looking at my screen, put it in the content.
That too, but they also forgot that the entire sequel trilogy is just really based on the foundation of nostalgia, which does not appeal to children because children aren't nostalgic.
No, then they
become nostalgic after consuming things that are good.
They'd be having nostalgia for something that came out. I was trying to think of anything that came out recently.
Infinity War.
Yeah, it'd be Marvel.
That's what they're somehow nostalgic for. Yeah. 2019, movie of the fucking, a decade of build up.
30 to 50-year-olds aren't playing Fortnite. I mean, maybe they are. It doesn't matter. It's really not. The point is, you're putting it in content that isn't your content.
You're not even trying to appeal.
It's not a movie.
Yeah.
It's if that is going to be in anything, put it in the movie. And I just feel like anything that's on that website that explains anything, put it in dark. I don't think this show is that bad in terms of I just think maybe they had big fundamental ideas that I think. We spent a big portion of episode 7 with Townhouse. But then the next episode, have Claudia fucking meet him. Have her meet him. Be like, hey, remember that time I gave you the book? And he's like, what book? What time travel book? And she's like, what do you mean? And then she sees the photo. She's like, looks at her book. I don't know. I bet you I couldn't come up with it. But guess what? I don't have to come up with it in 3 minutes talking to you. I would have 6 months brainstorming with the other writers who've crafted this story, and I just don't understand how they got to a point. Did they not
think it was necessary?
Did they not could they not figure out a way? Then maybe that's not your answer. If you can't explain it properly.
They spend so much time trying to explain it. They just missed that.
I feel like season 2 had so many times where I was like, I forgive a lot of the issues I have because it's so deep in character.
Yeah.
It's so steeped in... When we were talking about it could be a movie or a show, at the end of this season, I was like, I'm so glad. You know how you're like, how did this creator make a movie that bombed while he made this show? This is how. He created this with someone else. Whoever that other person is,
his wife,
is the one that's good.
She's the writer.
Oh.
so I don't know.
Well, actually, she's the one that sucks then. Because the writing is so good until it isn't, and I don't know, man. It's like, it's hard to finish a good story recently with the Pirates. The third one's the worst. It's so many, like, the Matrix movies. My God, do they get worse and worse. This one, though, I think really, it just...
Ends hard?
Ends are hard, but you know, they're not that goddamn hard,
What's
man.
the best end? To a long running or just a...
How long does long running be? Can 40 episodes be long running?
Sure. I mean,
Gravity Falls, 4-part season finale. Perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's 4 parts, and it goes off the same 4-part basis that Avatar, The Last Airbender does. My brother told me recently, where it's got the first episode where he's training and getting ready for the final battle. The second one, where we kind of delve into a side character's like long drawn like character motivation and kind of wraps that up. Second last episode, the third one, the finale, action. Oh, that's sweet action.
Ends at the lowest point, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Conflict. Resolved. Story. Over. Both of those are the best 2 finales ever. Avatar The Last Airbender, Gravity Falls.
I should watch.
Single seasons, Sopranos is perfect.
A lot of people would disagree with that.
And I bet you every single one of them thinks Breaking Bad's finale is good. Breaking Bad's finale is atrocious.
Breaking Bad's finale
Lost is good.
Is writers who reached their peak a year ago, who are just desperately trying to not undo all the hard work they did, but play it so safe that they kind of did.
For me, I watched a YouTube video once about why that final episode is a dream Walter White has while he's in that car. And every minute.
That's like Norm Macdonald, the comedian. I remember he tweeted that. He was like, everything's a dream from there. I think that's people just being like...
No, you know what
it's either a dream or it's like just fan service.
So what it is to me is every single time they were like, this doesn't exactly play... Like, this doesn't make sense. Just, no, what you're doing is you're excusing bad writing, and tying it into one theme being, it's a dream. You know what It's a Dream is? Dark season 3 finale. It's bad writing. The Wizard of Oz is bad. It's bad.
Is everything bad?
And you were there. You shut the fuck up, Dorothy. Alexander runs out of the woods and is like, Ulrich, Karina, get the fuck away from this chick. I got a gun. I'm a maniac. I've clearly just time traveled from something important. And then the man he murdered's brother rocks up out of nowhere and is like, I'm here. I'm the season 2 antagonist. The sheriff. The bad boy. I'm here to fucking... And then he opens the canisters. But we don't have time to explain any of that because we have to... No, but we have to spend... Sure, whatever. Fucking...
It had to have been.
See, that's it. It's like all these things that have potential interesting theories. It's like, it was just a parallel universe people jumping in being like, parallel universe stuff. And then it just... It's so lazy. The whole last season is just, how do we fix all these things? And unlike Lost, they weren't like, I've got it. Let's do this, and then this, and then this. And then it's all there. And they botched 2 things, but they nailed 20 things. I don't care if you fuck the Whispers and one character's origin. And Claire's character. Do you know how many characters there are?
Because they got
25. They nailed 25 characters, they fucked up 2. That's amazing.
And yeah, they did. They got the fundamentals right, but I guess the larger mythology, whereas this show kind of gets the larger mythology but betrays the characters.
Trades everything about the characters to the point where it's like, okay,
it's like the inverse of Lost.
So what is Alexander? Like, he killed someone whose last name was a combination of 2 main families of the 4 main families, yet that's not a thing. That's just a coincidence. Like
red herring, I guess. But it's such a...
That's not a red herring.
It's so obscure, it can't be a red herring.
Do you know what a red herring is? A red herring is something not as exciting as... Like, a perfect red herring, in my opinion, is something that seems like the best option until it's revealed it's not. Triple baby boy. A baby from both worlds. Created from characters from both worlds as this enigma of these 2 worlds. Because at that point, there's just 2 worlds. So he's this enigma in between them. And there's 3 of him. And he's going around serial killing. He's the origin. It's him. No, he's a red herring. Twist. 3rd world. That's, like, that in itself is how I want it all to be. Like, that is so cool to me. I was so on board with him being the origin baby. I found it out moments before they're like, it's origin baby. Then it cuts to him and he's like, I'm the origin baby. I'm the dude that I have to be killed to stop everything. He kills him and then realizes he's fucking wrong. And we get the reveal. For me, that I feel like that's the perfect arc of what the show tried to do. And I think it's so bogged down with these weird strands and feelings and thoughts with everything else. And then the whole final act of the series is exactly how I feel about the 2-minute endings of the last 2 seasons. Welcome to the future, bitch. I'm from a parallel universe. It's so bitch. It's so much that when it tries to actually just do it, I don't know, man. Because part of me thinks that, like, the finale is the 2 main characters of the show standing in the rain being like, don't drive over this bridge. So, okay, I'm going to be back on the side of dark for a second, somehow.
Did you think they were going to cause it for a moment then?
100%. That would have been so good.
Yeah.
That would have been, that would have been good. It's just not.
If they caused it, which is the reason their timelines exist in the first place, is that they went back
and tried to stop it. That would have been the same Ulrich thing, where you get that moment where you're like, he killed him, he changed it. And then you have that horrid moment where the characters are like,
everything we do is feeding this beast.
Lost does it too. It has the same principles of time travel, and every single time and then Jack is like, fuck that shit, I don't believe in that shit. And then Miles is literally like, you're a dumb cunt. I think we're going to cause... He's so good. He's the character who literally says to someone, I'm pretty sure we're going to cause that fucking incident. Yeah. Aren't we just doing what we're always meant to do? Isn't that what someone said about time travel? And everyone's like, shut up, Miles. You're not a main character. You're a minor main character. You only came into it late game. Shut up. But he's right. I just don't think I'm going to be able to watch again like the way I've watched Lost. Because I didn't love the last season. It had the same feelings as this, but not as extreme. It was one episode. It was one moment where Michael's like, whispers, dead people. It's like, no, that contradicts season 2.
You should have just never said anything.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's 2 minutes of a show. And you know what? I'll just blank that out. I'll create that my own headcanon. I just think that this, I don't know, man. Because, okay, I love the idea that they started the show with the idea that it ends, like, okay. We live in the origin world. You and me are the couple that dies on the bridge. We're just driving. We've had an argument with Dad. We're not happy. We got something in our gut, though. Like, we sense that we've had that argument. Yeah, we've got the sense, and we're like, because I actually love the moment when he decides to go back. And it's just like, he's driving, he's like, oh, and he's like, oh, 2 people, oh, I almost died. He gets out of the car, he's like, what the fuck? 2 strangers?
And it's a bootstrap paradox, because the what we know is a drop in the ocean line.
Yeah.
Jonas is told that by his older self, who is told that by Tannhaus as a middle-aged man.
Yeah, so it's...
And Tannhaus tells his son that just before he leaves, which all kind of fits.
And so I fucking love that. When he says that line to him, and he goes, oh. So you just take it in a vacuum. Yep. Discard the show. The first scene of the show is the man driving, got in an argument with his dad, and he's like, he stops. 2 strangers on the road weird him out. They're just standing there. It's raining. They're both sexy actors. He's like, what's going on? Why are these sexy actors here telling me stuff? And he's like, oh.
2 angels. That's what he says.
Yeah, and he's like, don't mock me. And he gets weirded out. Yeah. And just the moment, because of life and the way, and he's like, I'm not feeling good. Let's go back. Let's apologize. That in itself being I don't know, man, I love that. Like the idea that happens and that these 2, it's just like, that's a short film. Time travel short film. Man creates time travel, accidentally creates universes, and then by the end of all that insane gibberish, 2 characters just appear in the rain and they're like...
Who figured it all out.
And they're just like, stop. We are angels. They are angels. I don't know. Yeah. When he stopped him and the long-haired hippie guy... Look, I was out by this point because we've already bumped into each other in this time vortex. I hate it so much. It just didn't visually work for me when they bumped in. Well, because they were there.
I noticed a lot of people online saying that sequence didn't work for them. And
they're trying to do the Harry Potter thing. And the visual metaphor of it, when it was them looking at each other through the doors,
Why? I don't get that.
Their connection. I understand. I feel like their connection for me works that it's like they've broken through time. They're in time itself, and they've broken through the sea, and it's like a weird, you know how Charles, like, I don't know.
I just got to
That works
nitpick
for me.
something.
Yeah, no, go. Yeah.
Jonas has a yellow jacket as a little kid. I fucking hated that.
Okay.
I hated that so much because it negates the point in season 2 when Michael sees Jonas with the yellow jacket and goes, oh fuck, it's all happening again. But if Jonas just always had a yellow jacket all through his childhood, he's just the yellow jacket kid.
Yeah,
why would he be disturbed by that?
Yeah,
he's just always had a yellow jacket. Why did you have to put him in a fucking... We get it. We get that you've got Michael there, you got that actor back, and we get it. Take the yellow jacket off him.
Because the worst thing is, I didn't even notice you wore the yellow jacket, which means you don't need to put the yellow jacket in. Yeah, which strengthens your...
I just saw it, I was like, why did you... That feels like just such a...
I think that's the same issue I have with Martha wearing a yellow jacket this season. Because you know what it is? It's just... Get it? She's Jonas, but in that world. It's like, okay, if that's going to be the thing, just give her a coloured jacket. I don't know. I don't think it needs to be yellow. It just feels very...
Well, it should be the opposite of yellow, I guess.
Oh my god, what's that? Purple? Green? Blue?
Yeah, it would be a bluey greeny.
I went to art class.
If you go to the opposite of the colour wheel, I guess the opposite of yellow is...
blue or green?
Yeah,
or both?
Orange is the opposite of teal. So I guess yellow... be like a...
Yeah. But see, I don't think it needs to be the opposite. For me, he was a yellow jacket kid to just visually stand him out for like the poster. Yellow jacket, darkness, cave. It's like, for me, that was just like, honestly, for me, it was like an It reference. I get it. I saw the start of It. He's wearing a yellow jacket.
Right.
that's what I actually thought the first time I saw it.
And the creators talk so much about Stephen King and all that kind of stuff, so that fits perfectly.
Well, if they're big fans of Stephen King, you know what they did? They're like, they wrote a good ending and then they changed it to make it bad, like all of Stephen King's endings. That's what they did. Fucking cunts. It's not an excuse to be like, no, I don't know, man. I couldn't believe I was so disappointed. Honestly, I thought it was going to be, it was working for me so much. So many little elements just kind of went, Like, I generally think it might just be the last episode that kind of made me annoyed about the other things. Like, any issue I've had with anything, it's the same with everything. It's like, once it's over, like, a finale is just hard because once it's over, there's never a moment where you go, oh, they'll be able to fix that.
I mean, technically, you can just watch episode 7 and then start right back at episode 1, and the loop works perfectly. If you just admit that.
So he destroys it, and that is the end, maybe? Or just, or it's
well, no, he destroys it, and then Claudia rocks up and goes, you can't do shit, mate.
And that's the end.
Yeah, it's like, it's just...
See, that's...
And then you just watch the beginning, which...
God, is
I
that
thought
better?
it was... I mean, if
it's
we got
sad
that...
And
but if we got that, I don't know how I would be processing that, because we didn't get it. And what we got is this. So if we... Like, it's easy now to be like, this is what they should have done.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're in their shoes and you... Like, from their perspective, they thought, this is our ending. This is the perfect ending. They didn't intend to make a bad thing.
No.
Not that it's bad.
It's not even that bad. I just think that it's not... It ends, and I do not think what they say at the end is what I... Like, okay, so... The ending is Hannah being like, I had a dream. The world went dark. What's your son's name? It's Jonas. What the fuck is the point of that ending? What do you get from that? Is it meant to imply that the universe is going to have, like, this origin world is going to have a Jonas? But then, that's not Jonas. Jonas's dad is Mikkel.
Yeah.
So calling a baby you have Jonas isn't Jonas. You're marrying fuckhead who won't tell us his goddamn... Oh, that's a... You know what?
Waller, yeah, the eye.
But you know what? That's not even an original thing to be like, we have a story and he's not going to tell the story. You know what other fucking show had a story that was never told by a main character? Game of fucking Thrones. Game of Thrones has Tyrion try and tell a goddamn story about some fucking animals he's going to take to a fucking bar, and he fucking ends the show being like, well, the jackal and the honeydew badger or whatever the fuck. Shut up, Tyrion. You're a joke of a character. You're a joke.
I feel like that.
What the fuck? Why would they do the same fucking thing?
I feel like that is something that is a very modern thing that is being done. We're going to tease you with this plot point that we're never going to feed you.
It's a joke, man.
But I feel like there's more stuff that happens in than Game of Thrones.
So Avatar: The Last Airbender has a major plot thread. I won't say. But there's a character that goes through season 1 to 3, major plot thread with one of their parents, and the last line is him being like, I will find my mother. And he goes off, or something like that. And it's like, oh, that's exciting. And then in the sequel series 30 years later, someone literally meets him as like an old man. It's like, did you ever bloody find your mother? He's like, you shut up. Why would I tell you? Random man I meet on the street. And it's like, that's all I need. Because you don't need to explain that. He can have his own journey. He can have his own character. He found or didn't find his mother. It doesn't matter. Maybe they explained it. I can't remember. But I remember that being, that's the epitome of teasing something that never needs to be explained. Because you know what this show and Lost in every show does and reinforces? Mystery is better than the resolution. You're never going to be able to... Although...
Do we want to look in the box? The mystery box? Do we actually want to know what's in the box? Or do we always want the box to remain closed and be like Schrodinger's cat? It's both dead and alive at the same time, and we get to decide what it is.
Let me pose this question to you. How about you open boxes we didn't realize were boxes? That's what I want.
That's what the show did.
I want boxes to be there everywhere, and then, you know, like the biggest box Lost opened in its final season? That the smoke... Spoilers.
That's all we do. Yeah.
The Lost smoke machine monster, the thing that we thought was a dinosaur in the episode 1, is the smoke monster. It's a man. I didn't know that was a box I wanted opened. And one of my best friends who loves the show, loathes it. He's a dumb cunt. Sorry. It's such a good reveal because you know what? The whole show isn't building up to who's the smoke monster, which main character is this. It's like, no. The smoke monster was just a smoke monster. And then they just went, it's a man.
Yeah.
And there is stuff in there, and it all pieces together, you know, with like Echo stuff we were talking about recently, all that stuff. But it's like, this show needs to have, it's just all the boxes that I was waiting to look in, like, why did Alexander shoot that guy? Why is his name that? Why is Taunt, like, all these things. Why is Noah doing this? Bartosz, that scene, all this stuff. It's like, no. We're going to spend most of this season with Martha just having other Marthas be like, do this, Martha. But I just saw that with Adam and Jones. You're just doing the same stuff. And then the rest of the season is a parallel universe that literally gets erased 8 hours after it's introduced. It just doesn't... The more I talk about it, the more angry I am. I can't even remember the stuff I liked. The opening credits is good, I guess. I don't know, man. I really... Oh, okay. Last thing. Fucking the best part about the first 2 seasons, their ability to pick music that fits perfectly without me being like, it's like Weeds. Every episode of the terrible show Weeds, I don't know why I watched the whole show, it's terrible. It's Breaking Bad, but like PG, but shit. It just, I hate it so much. I don't know why I watch so much of it. Every episode ends with like if she's like betrayed at the end of the episode, it's like the song's like, I've been betrayed, or whatever. You know, it's just so on the nose where you're like, oh, it's kind of funny, but that show's very half serious, half, you know, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad. A comedy show can get away with a lot more. If you're as goddamn self-serious as this show, don't put the song It's a Wonderful Life at the end of your show when everything isn't a wonderful life. My 3 favorite songs are from they play to like every time an episode plays, it's like a 50 to hour long, and in the last 10 minutes you have a montage, a musical montage almost every episode. And the first season has Familiar and A Quiet Place, or Quiet Time, or whatever, A Quiet Life. Episodes 3 and 8 ends both of them. Episode 10 actually. Season 2, final episode,
My
body is a cage. My body is a cage. And it's such a good cover. It's such a perfect song.
I would say that there is an equally perfect in season 3. The song we listened to
just before.
What was the name
That's
of it? It's an M83 remix of a Block
Party.
Oh,
yes, it's the Block Party song. I forgot the name, but it's the Block Party song. And it's a very
in the
slow
trailer.
down. That is
Fantastic.
awesome. Yeah, I'm not saying that season 3 botched everything. I'm just saying its final episode. I don't know. For instance, My Body is a Cage is literally being like, my body is a cage. It keeps me from dancing with the one I love. It's
everyone's trapping themselves in this infinite.
But what is so good is that song. I've had discussions with friends about what it actually means, because I always took it as kind of like it's trapped in your own sexuality or something like that.
Sure.
That's what I always just saw it as when I listened to that album years ago by Arcade Fire. Fucking sweet album as well. I remember talking to someone else and he had a different of what it was trapped inside. But we were both coming from a same place of you are trapped in your own body. I don't know, it fits so perfectly at the final part of season 2. The Wonderful Life one, maybe it's just because I wasn't into the show at that point.
No.
But that felt so on the nose. I was like, I was like cringing. I was like, why would you do this? Because now
I felt myself trying to like it.
Yeah.
You know when you know something's off and you're desperately fighting to
the last 4 years of Game of Thrones, yeah.
See, that slowly slips out of your hands, I think. And then you get moments where you're like, pull back in, battle the bastards. You know what I mean?
Hodor!
Yeah,
and you forget
But then
much.
moments it really slips and,
but you
beyond the wall.
It just takes your hands into the ocean. You're like, now I'm hands.
My rope burn.
The rope burn I'll never get over.
What a great metaphor.
That was awesome, yeah. Perfect.
But no, I felt myself internally fighting.
Yeah.
Because, I really wanted... I actually feel like that song stopped me from being as emotionally... Even though there were elements I was still trying to piece together, I felt like I was still at that point where I was telling myself, no, the rewatch will enable me to put things together. But the song really was, ripping me back out.
Yeah, I disagree with the choice. To the point where...
it almost feels like that song being a bad choice was actually the perfect choice. It's actually the perfect
for the whole show.
And for that point in time, the decisions made here are not what they should be. And if it were just a little bit...
I think for me, it's frustratingly close.
Yeah.
Because I get it. It's a Wonderful Life. They're erasing themselves from life to make it. It's like, I understand where they're going from. For me, it's way too do you get it, little boy? Do you understand this biblical story? Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like a boat came and picked everyone up and they got on the boat and he's like, everyone aboard the metaphor boat as we sail off to the Grey Havens with Frodo or whatever. Do you get it? One of the best aspects of this season was Origin Boy. But all he did was split himself off, destroy the nuclear power plant at the same time in both universes.
Create the waste.
Which just, for one, how did he get in there? He just walked.
He stole the master key from Burnt and... Yeah.
No. It's not how he does it. But he just grabs a key. He's
just a plot hole
He
machine.
can do that.
He's just...
middle-aged man can go in. I can see him breaking into a facility. Old man and child?
Oh, no, that is actually...
Doesn't make any sense.
No, I disagree.
Okay,
I actually love that because what you have here is... Okay. So it's hard to wrap your head around, but this is why I love that sequence so much because I pieced it together in my head and I went, the old man's already done it and he's showing the kid who's going to go do it by himself as a middle-aged man who becomes the old man who shows the kid.
It's amazing. You fixed it. No. Oh, but see, why is it everything? Why? See,
it's perfect, yeah?
What I wanted from today was coming here and yelling at you, and then you being like, Jax, you're getting...
What about this,
You're getting angry. You forgot this moment. But you did one out of the 50 issues I had. No, that's awesome, because I actually love the...
That's why I love that sequence so much.
But like afterwards, I was like, the child and the old man, do you reckon they could do that? How do they do that?
Old man stuff?
He's already done it because he did as a kid.
And
that's what works so well about the three of them, is that every time I was like, it's a bit silly, the old man and the kid keep entering rooms as if they're threatening, but it's because that's not threatening. An old man, like, if you rocked up in a room with a knife and like, I'll get you, and then an old man and a child walked in, I'd be like, you've created two elements I can easily defeat. You know what will happen is, I'll punch the old man, he's dead, I grab a stick, I kill the child, I've now been empowered by the murder of two men. I'm ready to kill you now. You know, I've built up the bloodlust, I've got blood rage. I'm in the blood, you know what I mean? But, with the context of knowing that these three guys they're secure, they can't die because old man's there, kid is learning, middle-aged man has already seen this happen. So he knows it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like everything I just said then. How you just said this is how I wanted the conversation to be all day. Me just getting so angry and being like, but Claudia doesn't make any fucking sense. And you being like, Jax, season 2, episode 3, this scene.
She figures it out here, and
you know what? Because you know what you can do. You could you can definitely do that with Lost. I've rewatched it twice now over the 10 years, and I just know that if I come back to this show, it's going to work for me because the show works on a fundamental level of being fantastically made TV. Acting, production level, music, the mise en scene, all the things are still so good.
I feel like Lost is almost exactly the inverse
of this.
In that it's actually the production elements in the last season that fall flat.
Yeah, the temple.
While the story, the temple, across the sea, we've got all these sets to build and all this stuff to do, but we've only got one season television budget to do it. Maybe we should have done the temple stuff in season 5. And maybe we should have, you know what I mean? If they spaced the elements out, they would have executed them better. But because you literally have to build a set for everything on the island in season 6, you got to buy another plane. You got to...
And all that stuff feels a little cheap.
You got to construct an entire alternate reality. You have to bring all the cast members back.
Every one of them, yeah.
Season 6 is the most ambitious and does not meet its ambition as much as the other seasons because the ambition of the other seasons is lesser.
Lower budget.
Yeah. Season 5 is the second most ambitious.
Set we already have.
Everything is already what we've seen.
I think you've said this.
Yeah, I have.
Sorry. No, we keep yeah.
Production falls flat. Writing hits the marks. They hit all the beats they needed to satisfy.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem with Lost is the misinterpretation of the ending over everything else.
And you're not getting that with Dark, but no. I just, as we were having Lost comparison with Dark, what I found was so funny. This season, there was a scene where someone walks into a room and we're like, there's so many names of all the main characters on these walls. Like Lost season 6. And I was like, fucking Dark. Get the fuck out of here with this shit. Because I just kept feeling like, I don't know, man. I can't even remember. I would have said it last epi. There were so many things on my rewatch where I was like, it's like... They've clearly seen Lost because they're doing a time travel show. They're totally into Lost. There's no way they're not. It's the epitome sci-fi television. I'm sure there's a bunch of shit on sci-fi. But guess what? It's all trash. I'm sure it's all trash. Yeah. What's this? God. And the thematic feeling of Dark is the same. It's an obscene world of science fiction nonsense. Gibberish, insane nonsense. And the only time it ever works in both shows is when the characters are steeped in that lore. Like a character traveling back in time. Like Katarina being killed in the past works because, one, she's fucking dead. That's horrific and her mum killed her. But also, she's just told Ulrich, after 33 years of waiting, after knowing that Hannah came 33 years earlier and went, fuck you, I'm a bitch and you suck. I'm out of here. He now is going to be saved by his true love that he's realized over these 33 years that he wasn't meant to cheat on her. In the parallel universe, he cheated on her and then cheated on that person. Like, It's like...
And then she loses the St. Christopher medallion that Jonas and Martha find in season 2. Her kids swim in the lake where her body is decomposing.
Oh my god, she is... It's so good.
And remember they drag Martha down?
And
they
yes!
go, a woman died here. It's all there. They told...
that's... I can't believe we're getting towards the end of this and you finally said something that was good. I want it all to be that. No, not all of it. I want 75% of the final season to feel that good. When you just said that to me and it all just connected, that's gold. I don't think the season even delivers on half of that. Before this conversation though, just because I feel like I've probably brought you down, because I didn't even mean to be this negative. Your first reaction as it just ended, was it positive or not? Because I feel like you were a bit positive.
Well, I don't know. I just...
I feel like I've got more negative. I can't even... I'm like, would I even recommend this show anymore?
I
don't know if I could.
I was maybe too into it, and I just felt kind of numb when it ended.
I was more keen than anyone I've seen about anything. I knew you weren't going to love the final season because you couldn't. You were too in.
I said this to Jess. I was like, I had all this pent up energy because I haven't seen any movies this year that I normally like get to expend a bit of that energy with like, Black Widow's out. I'll go, the new James Bond. I've been disappointed by 3 things this year, so Dark doesn't feel that disappointing. Instead, I've had 6 months of no content. So I've just been rewatching and reprocessing and like re-falling in love with Dark again and again and going down rabbit holes. And I think you can be too close to something. And I probably was far too close to this to be able to process it on a first viewing, and I'm glad that we did this now because it's enabled me to think through a lot of these elements, and when you can bounce them off another person, you solidify what works and what doesn't. And I really do think that it all just boils down to that Claudia moment, because I think I said this in the last review, that the Claudia was my favorite character. She was the one that I was most excited about seeing. How does she end up as this person?
The White Devil.
Yeah, like...
we don't get any of that. Do we?
Not enough.
There's one scene where she's like, you better go kill my daughter so that I will do anything to save her. There's too many of these at this point. It's like, you can't just have 3 seasons of characters being like, go make my life miserable so that I can be as good as I am now. I'm sick of that shit.
It's every just characters endlessly perpetuating misery on themselves so that they don't want to live anymore. And then
the show is like, it's this convoluted knot is so convoluted it can only be destroyed by not existing, which just makes me feel like,
which is fine, but
I don't know.
Give me an explanation. Give me a thing. Give me Claudia going. You're absolutely right. I can't get past that. Claudia traveling to the origin world
because the story has to end. We're up to episode 8. She has to now know.
She's had all these conversations with Tannhaus in the earlier seasons too. It feels so narratively satisfying that we get old Claudia meeting Tannhaus, giving him the blueprints. And then young Claudia coming in season 2 and meeting him and he's like, I know you. Yeah. I did this in the 50s and we're back here to this point. And then again, you do it in season 3 and you have her come in and be like, she's in the dark again. The dark. No. and coming to this realization of what's going on.
Oh, God.
It would be such a powerful moment.
Do you think
they robbed themselves of it?
Do you think, because I actually love her rocking up and being like third world, and like Adam realizing he's like killed her, done all the things, and I love that. I can't help but imagine, what if in episode 7 or 6 we had just had her meet Tannhaus from Origin World, but we didn't realize that yet. They had a full conversation and it made no sense, and she's like, what? And then she goes, hey, I know the truth. And then you get that 10-minute scene where you know how in the greatest moment of Lost was when they had a sequence, they said everything they needed to for where we were at the story, and then they come back to it a season later, and Kate's driving, and she stops the car, she comes out of the car, and she's like, what do you mean we need to go back? And there's this whole thing where it's just a 6-minute scene, they split in half, and one of them is just mystery box after mystery box being laid.
We gotta go back!
We gotta go back! We gotta go back! And she's like, I have to go see this person that I'm living with at home. there's a man dead in a coffin. We're not saying his name. As soon as Kate drives back, she's like, Jeremy Bentham, Aaron's my baby, and she's here, and everything that has been. It's perfectly serialized TV. We're revealing what needs to be revealed and saving it, but just presenting it at the right moment so the mystery is there, but we have enough to go back and be like, whereas now, literally the story is ruined because it's a story about two universes and a character off screen realizes they're the third universe and goes, hey, every single moment of the entire show is pointless. We have to now grab these two characters, erase that time, Back to the Future style, simple, stopping a man from getting on a bridge. That's it. That last episode makes the whole 27 episodes pointless, in a way. Because all Claudia needed to do was off-screen find out a thing, find Jonas and Martha, and just send them off into Time Vortex world.
Do you think that they had this ending in mind at the beginning?
100%, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I think if they did, they would have done a different... Like, is this how you do it, if that's the end you're heading towards?
I would love to think that people have more... But, like, I don't know, man. They knew Brown was going to be king for, like, 5 years, and they still boshed the fuck out of that.
That's very
You know what I mean? Like, Lost still had... They knew what the whispers were going to be before that scene. Yet, no, they didn't because it contradicts everything.
I think they just...
See, that's why Lost is so good, because everything that works is something they somehow strung together on the day. Yeah. And everything that doesn't, it's like, well, fuck it. They fucking were making up on the spot for 6 years. The greatest... Oh my God, I love it so much. I think even rewatching Lost makes it harder to like other shows. It's so intricate and enough works. That's the issue. Enough works. I don't need every second of it to work because endings are bloody hard, man. It's hard. But is it that hard?
Magnus and Franziska are the most pointless characters in the entire show. And every scene we have with them is a step towards nothing.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do they do? Except
nothing. They don't even have kids. They fuck endlessly through all 3 seasons. All we ever do is build their sexual tension.
And nothing.
He sees her nude. Oh, I'm chasing her.
Man.
All of this dynamic is building towards they're gonna fucking have kids.
And the show is about kids and incest and
it's not even a good red herring because they don't even like pay it off at a point. There's not even a point where they go, we never had kids. And you go, what? We don't even get that moment that they could have been building to subvert. Yeah, it's like why were they there at all? If this
could have had a red herring that their kid was that 3 cleft kid or something, and then they go to stop him, and then he's like, actually, twist and twist, there's this.
This is why I keep saying, if this was the end they're building towards, why do they do this? Why do they include those characters through the whole thing? If they never do anything. Until the very last moment in the alt world, they're used to convince Martha to go with them because of Adam.
The one thing I love was Jonas is like, I've got to convince Martha to come with me to save the universe. And he's like, I can't be bothered. I'm just going to attack her. Turns on the time device, runs and attacks. Just tackle. I love that
moment. Like the feeling I had.
Yeah, no, that was so exciting. Because that's a moment we've just seen play out a certain way. We have expectations. He subverts those expectations. That word is so ruined for me. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm just... Do you have any... Yeah. You have a beautiful list of notes.
No, yeah, I think I've covered most of it. I mean... Bartosz promised Regina that they'd have a reunion at the end of season 2, which I really thought that they just put that line in because we were going to get her. I just thought middle-aged Bartosz would end up in the future.
Middle-aged Bartosz looks great, though.
He's so perfectly cast and so just completely squandered.
Oh, yeah, he's barely in it. What I do love, though, is this show can do stuff with just having characters not say anything. Like, when Bartosz is picking up the thing, like old man Bartosz, he picks up the thing, he just looks at Bartosz right at the end of the show, and Bartosz just looks at him, and he's like, oh, and just... But even those moments there when it's literally nothing...
They're old.
Oh, no. My emotion was coming before.
Yeah.
Because every time something happened, I'd be like, I'm so in. And then I'd be like,
no, it's old.
Wait, that's long hair Bartosz. Oh, that's the character I don't care about in any way. What happened to the dude who was locked in the fucking tunnels for... His friends tied him up in a tunnel all night.
Left him.
And the emotional resolution of that is him being like, I've been in the 1880s for 2 years, Jonas. And Jonas is like, it is what it is.
So
and he's
am I.
like, alright. Yeah.
He never had faith. So the fact that he lost it and they killed him for
Why
it.
did he put on those tattoos? Do you know how painful
I forgot.
my tiny nothing tattoos are?
forgot.
Do you know how painful they are?
He got his whole
A
front tattoo.
Oh my god!
Sigmundus
You
Creatus
kill
est.
yourself.
The emerald tablet.
You know what's so funny?
You know what I did with you in the last podcast was like beef you up.
Get me in. I was so in.
and but all I was doing, and this is paradoxical, because all I did was build you up so that you could be here now to knock me down. This is this thing, it's just dark. Yeah,
It is.
an ultimately unsatisfying ending. You watch us get so excited for something that will...
because I think with a finale and the endings of shows, I don't think it fundamentally has to have like I don't know. Let's go with Buffy's season finale. You've seen Buffy?
Yeah.
The final season has an uber vampire introduced. And there's an episode where Buffy is like, I can't beat the uber vampire. I'm not strong enough.
I love the one shot where he kind of transitions into every villain of the show in the first episode.
The first episode, the final scene of the first episode.
It's so good.
Oh my god, that is peak what a show should do in a final season. That is perfect. Have the villain who's literally can embody all dead characters, very lost, goes around to all the villains, and then can end on Buffy because technically she has died as well. So, it's to Spike, the anti-hero of the show, the epitome of not the villain or the hero.
Brilliant.
But you know what the show does towards the end? It introduces an uber vampire. An uber vampire that's the strongest vampire ever. Buffy takes 2 episodes to beat him. Has a showdown in a giant open warehouse where she's like, all the Slayers must come and watch me kill this uber. Just prove if I can do it, we can all do it. The finale has the gates of hell open with 1 billion uber vampires come out. And in that episode, every single uber vampire is taken down strength-wise to normal vampire level. And no, you can't say, hey, spoilers for Buffy. All the Slayers, potential Slayers, are now actual Slayers. So their power beef is beefed up. Yes, but their power levels are only as strong as they just are at being skilled at fighting as well. Yep. Buffy is the strongest of the strongest of the Slayer strong. Still took her 2 episodes to take it. It was a whole plot being like, I can just take one. Because it's building the drama of the final season. But then the final battle, it's just fucking nothing matters. They're all just vampires. Stab. And characters die only because they need to die for the emotional stakes. It's not because the vampires are stronger. Spike. It's completely negated. I've literally read Joss Whedon be like, I kind of just decided, he literally said, I just decided feminism and like girl power and stuff over continuity of story.
He also...
But you know what? It fucking works.
And I think by that point, he had been so defeated by Firefly.
Right, maybe that's it. He just gave up.
I think he gave up on like everything.
Sure, but you know what? As a fan of the show, I don't get that.
No,
I get one continuity issue.
I was like, I'm in. This works, and then it leads right into Angel, and then we get that.
It's great. But those vampires from the whole season to that episode, the final, it's the season finale. That's what I'm talking about. Season finale changes. It fundamentally just decides to pick a theme the show has gone with the whole show over continuity.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not a bad finale because of that.
It's narratively
It's a bad finale for other reasons, if it is. I'm not saying it is, but if you think it is, you can't be for that reason. I don't think that's strong enough.
I've never rewatched it.
No, I don't think Buffy's a rewatch season.
Yeah, so. I think, like, Angel I have.
Oh, Angel's so good! Yeah. That time where he's a puppet?
I don't know why I always...
Time where he's a puppet?
Yeah, you're right.
That final season of Angel is the greatest final season, though. Where it's like, they're the part of the lawyer firm, they're evil.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good! And Angel and Spike are both in it, and they're burdened by their love by Buffy, but they both hate each other because they both love... Oh, it's so good!
A rotating shot.
No!
Yes, like exactly how he died.
Yeah, he's coming back. He's like, oh, I'm back or whatever. Oh my god, my season finale sacrifice means I get main character status in another show. Yeah! Being good pays after all, yeah. I can't even remember what my point was. Oh, no. Huge issues with the finale because you're wrapping up. It can't be all perfect. I really don't think. Sopranos' final 5 minutes of its finale are perfect, but that final hour is kind of meandering and slow for a finale.
Well,
But you know what? That's the point.
It's him, like, just desperately trying to avoid being assassinated, I guess, and then
Sure, but
and then catching up with his family and
yeah, but really, if you look at the finale, it's 20 minutes. Then the villain of the show is killed.
yeah.
Then nothing happens.
His head get
His head just slowly. But it's like not an action scene for 20 minutes.
No.
Breaking Bad. Bam, bam, bam.
It's like bam.
No, he's putting petrol in. Gets shot. Car reverses over his head. Then there's 40 random minutes of just nothing. I mean, stuff must happen. I just don't remember it. And then there's the final moment. The final moment is so powerful that the whole...
Do you know why he did that at the end?
You've told me, but tell me again. I don't remember.
He was resentful of the audience. The audience rooted for Tony Soprano the entire run of the show.
The worst man in the world.
and then when it was announced that there was a final season coming, the audience turned.
And they're like, kill him! You gotta fuck it!
And then David Chase went, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. And he wrote the perfect ending in which he got to have his cake, eat it too, keep his cake, have it in a quantum field, quantum field of never-ending perpetual cakeness, where he gets to constantly feed off the cake and no one gets any cake but David Chase. And he gets to rob everyone of the death by cutting to black, but know that he killed him. But no one else does. Oh, man.
But I think that he's so clever because as a fan of Tony Soprano, maybe I have watched it. I don't know.
I have, yeah.
But I was a big fan of the character Tony Soprano up until bloody fucking spoilers all over the place. He murders Christopher in the final season.
Oh.
That for me was just too far. I was like, no, that's too far. Now you're no cool.
That was what did it?
Yeah, no, for real. That single moment, I was such a fan of Christopher. And it's so justified and understandable because he's such a cunt. And Christopher would have killed his baby had the baby been in the car.
And Tony is a sociopath, so he only has empathy for children and animals.
Yes, this is some of the most engaging stuff for me is when he kills Ralph for the horse. That horse subplot is my favorite, where he's like, fuck gambling with this horse, and then by the end he's like, go baby, go, and then he's killed. Yeah, and then that whole stuff. But you know, like, I don't know, all that stuff, but that finale has a thing, and you know what you can do? You can go back and be like, remember that scene where he talks to Bobby, and Bobby's like, I maybe haven't existed. And Tony's like, you're a dumb cunt. You stupid, fat, dumb, train-loving, idiot, fucking piece of shit.
Poor Bobby.
Sorry, I don't get
sorry. That's
what he says. He's like, fuck you, because they all kind of hate Bobby without hating him. But it's like, he's like, no,
nice guy.
Once you die, it's black.
Cut to black.
It's cut to black. And that's what they do. So you can be, it's the Inception thing where I can be like, it's 100% this, but you can be like, it's 100% that. And I think that's really, it's refined and strong. I think this feels like it's trying to do that, but it doesn't do it.
Do you think Dark would have been a stronger product had it left a little more ambiguity at the end? Had it tried to aim for that? Let's give the audience determinism and teeter that line and not quite
with
say
the third world. I don't know how you do that. I mean, obviously, I'm not even. We could sit here for 2 hours and we could probably figure out a way. But it's like, as soon as that final episode starts, and it's like twist. It's not baby origin boy, fucking guy at the mouth. It's not him. And
another world.
It's a third world. Twist. I think, and literally
twist with no reveal ever.
With that moment though, she does it. It's not twist third world. It's twist third world, and the line before the opening credits, which is the "We can stop this not forever." I think for me, maybe that's the issue. The whole show is about them trying to stop or trying to destroy everything because everything's deterministic. So we've got to stop it all, and someone else wants to hold it all together. Twist, we can just do this third thing. And it comes, it's like Dux Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina.
How did I get that so wrong? I know
God from the machine.
That's what is that what it is?
Yeah.
Alright. There's some big examples I don't want to mention because I know you haven't seen all the shows that I'll mention.
War of the Worlds is the key one.
How so?
It's just a virus on Earth that kills all the aliens.
Oh, the water.
What?
It's like water, isn't it?
No, that's
allergic to
science. Water. No. That's
yeah.
Alien Invasion
Yeah.
2000s movie.
Yeah.
I see how you could
Yeah.
overlap them.
So what was
No.
the issue with...
They just got sick. The aliens came to Earth, invaded Earth, literally are digesting people with their tripod things,
I love
and like
I love the visual of that movie.
oh,
man.
it's fucking Spielberg.
Yeah, it looks...
Maybe like that intersection point where
Is that
Spielberg.
just before he stopped making movies that were good?
It's
that what you're gonna
it's
say
the
now?
point just before all his movie CGI took over his movies.
You get
And
to the
we're
red player media
He's
or
like
whatever.
teetering that line of like incredible CGI, but not over the top. It's like still grounded in reality.
You're freezing all those people into clothes or whatever. Was that the movie that started that? Yeah, I love that.
They're like zap and
And the
then
clothes
he,
and
and then he
jewelry
like
just
gets
shatter.
back home. He's like covered in dust. These kids are like, "What's that all over you?" And he's like,
That's so good.
"Yeah, I really that movie gets shit on so much.
Yeah, right?
It's really
I remember
good.
seeing it
It's-
and being
it's
like, this
really
is awesome. And the people
impactful.
just hated it. I'm like, I think people just hate Tom Cruise.
Yes, for sure.
Tom Cruise is so good. The first 2 seasons, we have the main character Jonas, and there's a mysterious travel boy. It turns out to be Jonas. Then there's an evil man who's destroying everything, and he's scarred from time traveling. It's Jonas. We now have to go through all of season 1 and 2 with all the characters in an alternate reality really quickly. All the kids, but they're already in the bunker. It's all the events, but crammed real quick because you have to compact it all. So it's not clever. It's just cutting enough so that you can put it into a final season.
And be succinct to get to the Eve.
To get to the Eve stuff, because you have to go through the same plot points, but now you have a fucking character, Martha, who we've not actually met. This is not the Martha we've been following. This is Martha's dead. The Martha we've... The character I liked,
a
Martha,
new
is gone. We now have Jonas 2.0. It's just that. She's just Jonas from the other world, but we're calling her Martha. But she's in love with Jonas because she feels him through the universes, and
they really
it doesn't make any fucking
they
sense.
should have
It's all...
develop that relationship in that.
There's no time because you're spending too much time with other bullshit. And you have to have moments where he's like, old woman Martha said that I had to bring you, Martha, to this point in time, even though this isn't 33 years, so that's completely void now. But we don't have time to explain
They
it.
just fell in love with each other because she saw him in a wardrobe when she was a kid.
Yep.
I mean, is that what we're meant to read?
He saw her in a wardrobe when he was a kid, remember that?
Yeah.
No,
but he also grew up with her.
Oh my God.
So she,
No, see,
yeah.
He only loves her because she looks like someone he loved. That's it. She loves him because timey-wimey, we have to make this fucking work and we're not sure how. And then there's scenes where older Martha is just in the post-apocalyptic future in the sand deserts, simply so that we get a cool visual of them walking out of their time travel hole. And it's desert apocalypse now. It's Mad Max apocalypse. And she walks out like a Mad Max character, being all like, I'm from the Mad Max universe.
I didn't mind that
It's fucking
the alt apocalypse was different. I like
No,
aesthetic.
It's a much better aesthetic. It's not original, but it's much better.
Yeah.
It's visually stimulating. So my issue is that it's like, he went there to show Martha something because other Martha was there. And why was she there at that point doing that? Because it's a cool visual for us. Because I've seen the bunker. I've seen the cave. I want to see it look different. Because there's no reason for her to be there in the desert bunker with all with the fucking lost cave of wall names of important main characters. It's just there to be there, to repeat the same things, to do the same shit.
And Noah's there too for some reason.
Because it's
Noah.
Sure, but you know what? Every time anything happened, I'm like, is this no, it can't be Noah because it's either Noah. Oh my God, Noah's gonna be sent and have the scene with the daughter, his lover, his partner. He's going to grab her. Remember in season 1 when we didn't see Noah, and we're going to see that moment, but it's parallel Noah. Oh no, he's meeting parallel thing as well. I don't care, do I?
You didn't do any of the stuff.
You didn't do any of the things you set up. You did it, but in the parallel universe, and all he does is go. And she walks all the way to the bunker with him. Creepy, random dude in post-op. I don't... I don't know, man. As I was watching the final few scenes, I was like, holy shit. I don't know how much good stuff I have to say. And now I'm like really thinking about it. This could, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I like this final season at all.
But when you were in
I wasn't even that.
Yeah, I've never watched 8 hours of something
so quickly.
It's so intense, and being this in. So how can I even?
I think it is that. I think it is the Claudia thing that. It's the same issue I have with Thrones. With once Bran is king, once Arya actually jumps literally out of nowhere and stabs the Night King, suddenly everything that I was like, I'll forgive.
It's like the one Jenga piece that topples the whole.
It's like 4 characters ruined like that, and in that final episode feels like it kind of ruins everything, because all the little. What happens with the season finale is once it's over, if I can't go back and be like, what about Black Ooze Slime Mikkel? Mikkel's old, so we can't put him in this season at all. You know what fucking pissed me off? The start of the finale was, the beginning is the end. The end. Shut up, Dark! Stop saying that. That doesn't mean anything at this point. If you're not going to make that mean anything, it means nothing.
There's even a day. There's a day where you... Remember I said... There's a full 24-hour period before he kills himself.
Seen anything.
That he comes out and that he gets covered in black goo and ends up in the forest and has to do a thing and just has to he has to distract Jonas for that moment so that Mikkel and other Jonas with Claudia can take him through the tunnel. But they didn't do anything. They didn't even try. They didn't even try and do something where we're like, oh, that almost worked. I wish... Like, it's not like they did something and we're both sitting here being like, you know what? They bit off more than they could chew, but they were able to swallow it almost. And it's a shame this one thread isn't. If it was just Agnes or if it was just Bartosz.
But it's everything. I generally think it's... everything I thought they were going to do this season, I don't think they did a single fucking thing. And all they did was just do Adam again, but it's Eva. We haven't mentioned that old woman. Fantastic. The act.
Oh, middle-aged and old woman.
I really liked Old Woman, but the casting is...
What about young
Peter? Oh, yes! As soon as he rocked up, I'm like, yeah, but you know what's so frustrating? It's a nothing scene of nothing, and the only reason it's there is because...
We don't even find out who Peter's mum is.
So the only reason it's there is because introduction of character, and the next scene he dies. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I get it. The episode's called Life and Death. And that would be good enough if the season was good enough. It just dropped. Dropping the ball is such a bad metaphor.
It dropped a lot of balls.
It dropped.
It was juggling.
They were juggling 5 balls, but it dropped all 5. It didn't catch any. Not a fucking single one. If anything, it was juggling 5 balls at the start of the season. It introduced 2, and then someone from behind shot them from an alternate universe, and then disappeared into that alternate universe and wasn't explained. And you're like, who killed him? What happened to the balls? It doesn't matter. Literally everything was erased. And they had a dinner party, and in that dinner party, she's like, Jonas? Sure. Main character name.
I don't know.
I really think... I don't know, man. Honestly, the whole season could have played out and just not had that dinner party scene. I was so angry. I was so angry. It's just... It's like the minor characters of the show and Hannah. Like that fucking guy being there with his eye patch. He felt like he was J.J. Abrams being like, how good's this mystery box? How about I explain the... Get it? I don't know, man.
I don't know if this is true, but I read online that the actor just had an eye injury.
Oh, really?
Apparently, and that's why that...
He had to...
Yeah, and then they just built it in and it became a thing, and then...
That makes it better. That actually makes it kind of fun, because it's like...
I don't know if that's... 100%.
Actually true,
I just read that on Reddit, so you got to take that with a...
Yeah, I don't. Do I trust Reddit? I don't use Reddit. Reddit's just people saying things.
It's just people, but that's the whole internet.
That's
so.
That's
do you trust the internet?
No, I don't trust anyone. You know what? The trouble with trusting people is you get into situations like Jonas, and you end up running through time worlds
and accidentally killing your dad.
Yeah, or getting killed by your mom.
Yeah. Oh, he killed both his parents, essentially.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that. When he kills Hannah, that, like, I don't know, like...
Did they earn that? I get. Well, I mean, I feel like at that point Jonas was so.
That's the turning point for me for Jonas turning into Adam. But I just think that we are so bogged down by just so much stuff at that point. It just felt like more unrelenting misery for the sake of misery.
Torture porn.
I remember people saying that with like, I keep referencing other things, but when Stannis killed his daughter, people were like, it's just, I get it. Every season has to end. The 9th episode has to be an unrelenting, horrible murder of death. Stop. Just find another way. When we get to our 40,000 hour Game of Thrones argument, yelling, massacre, but it's like, I'll defend that to a certain extent. This just felt like really unrelenting. Like Peter getting killed in the apocalypse is like, well, it's the apocalypse. Maybe you have one sign. Like I remember it cutting from her being a kid to her as the adult in this post-apocalypse. I'm like, she's hardened from moments like that have probably happened 1,000 times. But we saw the pivotal one where Peter died. That feels justified. And we did see his life begin in Winden and then end. Everything needed to be that tight and needed to be that justified. And it really just felt like that infinite loop wasn't like an infinite loop that made sense. It was just, whoa. And if something doesn't make sense, just make it timey-wimey.
Add gibberish and that'll throw people off long enough to just accept what's being presented to them.
It's just like something happened and they're like, well, this doesn't make sense. And someone's like, well, if a character walks in and goes, the end is the beginning. The beginning is the end. Light, shadow, dark, not dark.
You mean the whole show?
Yeah. I just think that there was so much fucking poetic waxing of, do we really control our actions? Or are actions controlling us? If we really knew where we were going to end up, would we end up there? And it's like, if you stop saying that. You can't say that to the end. It's just fucking dumb cunts saying bull. If
you ask big questions,
makes me so angry.
I think if you ask big questions, you need a big answer, and I'm not sure that they have.
Or make the big answer the point of asking questions. Or I don't know, man. There's a way to do this without being like the origin was this thing. It doesn't have to be that there was a third world or there was an origin baby that created the apocalypses. You never had to have a big thing. It was just, I don't know, man. Lost was just a bunch of cunts telling people that they knew what was going on, but twist they didn't. It was just faithful, like blind following the blind, faith pretending to be faith to make people follow, and people using what they wanted to believe, what they wanted to believe. This was literally just gibberish words that people would say, poetic waxings of philosophical debates, the Schrodinger's cat. But what you're saying with Jonas it isn't the Schrodinger's cat. It's not the same as a cat being in a box. It just is not, but it presents it like it is. I think maybe I'm sick of yelling about Dark. I think I'm just repeating the stuff now. I don't know.
I don't think I can. Like I was so firm in my defense last week. You know what I mean? Like
no, season 1 and 2 are fucking great.
But
no, they are really.
Are they like if this is what we were always if this was always the plan,
it's still very well made TV.
If Agnes's story was always this, then
I don't know, man.
Like, do I want to go back and spend all that time with that character now? Now that you've shown me that there's nothing, like, I don't want to spend all that time in the 50s, like, watching her seduce a woman to do this, to do that.
Yeah, what? Oh, yeah, no.
For what? So just so everything could play out as it always did?
Now we're going to have that same issue that I was about to say...
Every time Bartosz is on screen, I'm going to be like,
what's the point?
Well, we're not going to know. We don't get to see.
When he gets kidnapped for holding out mysteries in that cave in season 2.
He didn't have any.
He didn't
know anything.
It was my reaction the first time we watched it.
You were right.
I was right. They're being cunts. He hasn't anything to hide. He's just scared because of time travel is a theme and he knows this is a time travel device. But he doesn't know what he's doing yet.
Do you know what I did? I dove into a shallow pool.
Yeah.
Now my neck's broken.
Yeah. And you're like, why? Why did I think this water was deeper than it was? It was surface level trash. No, I don't know.
It's not because
it's an incredibly well made show. It's still above.
Yeah. Do you know that little thing I said at the end of the last episode? I love the acting and the dialogue and the cinematography and the blah, 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 blah. The present. All of that is still true.
100%. Yeah.
But
Writing's key.
that's not what I really want.
Writing is everything.
That just gets me in the door.
Yeah.
If you give me all that stuff, I'm in. But if you don't, once I'm in the door, once I'm in the room, once I'm looking at all the stuff, it doesn't matter how pretty it is if it's just hollow and empty.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest issue a final season can have and a final episode, if it doesn't work, is it makes you not want to see the show again. What I found about Dark Season 2 when I first watched it was, I don't know if I like where it's going with its man who's scarred by time and is clearly the villain, who's the hero, but old man, and it's becoming a big thing. But it had moments like old man Ulrich, finding Mikkel, and he's like, it's not when, but no, it's not how, but when. And he does the thing he did in the first episode where it's like, and he's like, and Mikkel's like, Dad? And the dad's like, Mikkel, and you're like, this is what the show is. It's characters who happen to be lost in time, but it's about them. It's the time travel is just there to service the insane. You know what I mean?
The characters.
Whereas this show, this season felt like the characters just had to be there. Otherwise, how would you present this time travel? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It felt like mythology over story. And my biggest issue
then
with
it didn't even really deliver that punch of mythology.
No, because the biggest issue it has is it's the same thing as Thrones, where it's like, I can't watch Bran anymore. Because the Bran's best scene is when he meets old wizard tree boy after 4 seasons, and he's like, are you going to help me grow my legs back or whatever, wizard man that I've been trying to get to for 4 seasons. And he's like, you'll never walk again, but you will fly. And the music builds, it swells, and you're like, fuck me, he's going to warg into a dragon. And then it's revealed the dragon's evil, so he's clearly going to warg into the evil dragon, or warg into something that's beyond human, because he's the only one that can warg into humans. It's all building to something, but it's not. So every second of him is now ruined. This show has the same issue, whereas if you just completely negate the things you've been building, I now can't enjoy the building blocks. Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that this final season is slightly more frustrating and detrimental to the entire series, because it's the JJ thing, it's the mystery box thing, it's the Rise of Skywalker issue where it's like, it can be a bad movie, but if its bad moviness has now affected the other movies and their mystery boxes and their reveals and their things, then it's not even just ruined 2 hours of content, it's ruined all the content, and it's the same as, oh my God. What is with 2020 and just making, both other things were last year. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we started doing this podcast where I was like, Game of Thrones and Star Wars suck, so I just hate everything. And then we're watching all these movies that were amazing, and then this came out and I was like, no, this is way better than I remember. This is the new thing. This will be like Gravity Falls, where like, no one's seen it, but watch this. It's beginning, middle, end. There'll be parts you might not love, but trust me, when it's done and all there, you'll be looking at it like it's perfection. Like it's the first Matrix, where you're just like, there's nothing wrong, it's there. But this, like the whole Matrix, it's all over the place. My last thought. They changed the music from the in the parallel universe, so it was like
to like a synth.
And it was like off to the point where I loved it, but you know what? It was also just not the sounds that got me into the show. So it was just like another part where I was like, this season is just off.
I actually heard it on his Instagram, and it worked for me better there than it did in the show. Because it's a bit off and you're like, ooh. It also, it was a while before they used it in the new season.
Yeah, I think it was once they got, I can't remember.
I just remember hearing it and it was used in a spot. Generally that music is used at an impactful moment, but they used it just over like an establishing shot. And
honestly, I think the first time is when we get the parallel universe and Eric's missing, and it's a photo of Eric missing, and it's like, and it's just, it's like, I think if the show had worked for me, if the season had really worked for me, and the parallel universe had worked, I would have been like, the music's the same but different. But it's just, Yeah. My fundamental thing wrong with this show is there was a man that had a disfigured ear. So now it's an eye. I'm a fucking genius.
And then there's
Are you fucking Baran Beamer or whatever?
but then they do that 40 times.
Yeah, no. The eye thing. I was like, oh, it's all different. It was the arm. I was like, that's a gimmick.
It's the arm.
That's a gimmick.
It's the tape on the cave. It's the house being reversed. It's the
couch, but there's two on the right side.
They rebuilt almost every set they went to so much effort to do things that seem so inconsequential. Yet the simple things I wanted, which was just like I just wanted old Bartosz to see his mum again, like in that bed in 2050, and be like, I promised you I'd come back.
Oh, I love it.
And I did, Mum, and I'm here now, and I can't do anything to save you, but I'm gonna untie this. I don't know. Man. Like, I would have been emotional character devastated.
I can't think of a single emotional character moment except for when old man Ulrich is just standing there and looking at the clock, and we know that Karen is dead. That was it. That was the one moment where I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's the loop. That's the three.
I wanted
tragedy, final tragedy. Now he's stuck forever.
I wanted a scene where Bartosz said to Adam, I'm going to trust my children with you, and I'm going to go and travel like you want me to do, and you're going to raise my kids so that I can fulfill the prophecy of Sigmundus.
Yeah.
Knowing that he was going to be betrayed by him. You know, like, not that he knew, like, Adam knows he's going to betray, you know, like, turn him into the villain by have Bartosz not just be against him the whole fucking time, but become trusting. Learn to believe in this thing that's outside of all of their control. To give him his kids, to be like, I'm going to have faith. And I'm going to do these things, and I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to dig this tunnel for you, and I'm going to do it all, to only reach the point where he loses that faith. And that would have really just...
And then
that would have floored me, you know?
And maybe play the scene with the context of the character. Because we get the mystery of the whoa.
Get that start of
get
season
the
2 again.
And then the resolution. You don't have to play the whole scene. Just maybe literally have him already dead, and then play a scene afterwards where a character goes up to him and is like, you just met that guy. Or I just think that if you aren't as into it as well, you just forget that scene exists. And the show's not big enough to have scenes where main characters are murdered, and you forget. Do you not think?
Yep.
But I think if we hadn't done this podcast, I would have forgotten that scene existed. 100%. Because it's not even mentioned. He doesn't even get the tattoos or like nothing to connect it.
He never has faith in Adam. He never has faith in Jonas. At no point in the entire show does Bartosz think or trust Jonas at all.
No,
like,
he hates him forever.
And he's right to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even saying I disagree with the character's motivations. What I disagree with is where he ends up. Why would he stay with him?
It doesn't make any sense. It's just because he has to stay there.
He never trusted him. He never had faith. He never left his kids. So who raised them, and why was Noah turned against him? And it just all falls apart. And I really wanted that scene, which worked for me so much when I revisited season 2, and it all fell into place, and I was like, this is this, and this is, all the pieces are fitting together. It fit together better when I didn't have the whole picture. And now I've got the whole thing, and it's just a scrambled mess. It's that big painting of all the, that Adam has on his wall of the damned, all just...
And it's just...
Which is his reality, I guess, just a bunch of scrambling, time
random
travel,
gibberish
incestuous knot of...
And it's... I don't know if it's a simple case of biting off more than you can chew, but just deciding to chew the wrong stuff? I don't know. I actually would be really fascinated to maybe in like 4 months rewatch the show, come back and do another episode. Just in terms of like, honestly...
And I don't think I would like to do that about anything else, but this feels like something that...
we're
maybe
so
I
fresh.
could
Like for
context.
For context, we are like 2 days after it came out. Well, 2.5 days.
It
It's
could be
fresh
a
as it should
visceral
be.
gut reaction, but I don't think so.
But yeah, no, my visceral gut reaction for like Breaking Bad finale, Game of Thrones finale, Lost finale, like they are the same feeling I still have now.
Yeah.
I hate all of them. Lost, I like quite a lot now. That was a 10-year change where I was like, I wasn't even hating it. I just was like, it's not the best finale ever, but that show is, but it is now. It's such a tight, emotional. It just emotionally felt like I was like there, and then just not there in the end. Although I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything else to add? I think
I would have fucking loved if they hadn't said the word dark so many times in those last 2 goddamn episodes. Keeping everyone in the dark, making sure everyone's in the dark. This is a dark universe. I had a dream. I had a dream, and everything was dark. Oh, Hannah, shut the fuck up. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of love that you end the show though on the worst character in the show being like
getting a happy ending, kind of.
No, I hate it. I hate it so much. A dinner party of all the minor characters having a happily ever after is a parody of TV. It's like what I imagine SNL would do to end an episode. You know, they'd have everyone just. Yeah, that's like an SNL sketch. We have like Jon Snow and Daenerys all having dinner, and they're all talking about democracy or something. That's what the ending is.
Not even
It's a
Jon Snow and
parody.
Daenerys. It would be like
Tyrion and
well, yeah.
all the dark characters and whatever.
Yeah.
I think. No, I don't know. I've definitely said all the things. I feel exhausted from like trying to find things that weren't awful. I don't know. I enjoyed watching it for the most part.
I
just
enjoyed
think
the roller coaster ride,
Yes.
but then as the roller coaster pulled up and the seats kind of lifted up and I got off,
I realized I wasn't having that much fun, and I was actually just a little drunk.
yeah, I was having
Now I've sobered up, and I'm like,
I was having more fun in the line leading up to the roller coaster.
that's better.
Yeah, like I was looking at all the other people.
Anticipation is so exciting.
Yeah. I actually said to Jess, my partner, before the last episode was on, I was like, I can just never watch it, and it'll be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And she was like, someone will spoil it.
Yeah,
I was
I'll
like,
spoil
yeah,
it.
you're right. Play.
Oh. Yeah.
Leave it there.
Leave it there. Now we gotta wait for that other show to be amazing for a couple of years until it ruins itself.
Spoiler Talk is produced by KCBN Studios and Space Kraken Media.